right, live from planet Earth, CLS After Dark. I'm your host, Mark, the man with the crazy beard. Seriously, I think I look like a hobo sometimes. Hey, welcome to the live stream. We're going to have a fun live here tonight on CLS After Dark. We're going to kind of, and Patrick might join us too, but we got Clint and trying to get Patrick on. And we're going to kind of, our guests from last week, and we're just going to kind of do a weird, week in review and just kind of break down some things that we have observed. And I'm going to eat crow or whatever. And I'm glad to do it. I really thought some bad things were going to happen last weekend, beginning of this weekend. And I'm not saying taking the Lord's name in vain. Thank our Lord Jesus and God Almighty that nothing that happened. And there's P. Rick joining us too. So Clint, as always, give a little quick beef. I'm fucking hungry. A brief. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I'll get Patrick on here. Patrick, give me a thumbs up if I can pop you on now. I can't hear you, sir. Just give me a thumbs up if you're good. Well, hey, Clint, while I'm figuring this out, you go ahead and let everybody know who you are.
There we go. There we go.
Hang on a second here. I just got somebody saying volume up. Is there something wrong with our volume, boys and girls in the chat? Because I had a really bad go of it last night on our live stream. My volume didn't work at all. And then I had to close down the live stream and start all over. So before we jump into it, somebody on the chat, just let me know if you can hear us or not.
Make some noise, Pat.
Patrick, you're muted. There you go.
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me?
There we go.
I got people saying the volume's fine. All right.
Cool.
Let's go, Clint.
All right, man. I'm definitely digging the Apocalypse Now freaking ceiling fan theme. I'm digging that.
Yep.
I'm here in Saigon and I'm just stuck in this hotel.
What does he say? Damn, I'm still in Saigon or
still
something.
in Saigon.
Yeah. It feels that way sometimes.
I'm still only in Saigon. All right. Hey, Mark, thanks for having me back on again. I love getting on here and chatting with y'all, talking about some current events and gear and all the good stuff that we enjoy chewing the fat over. So most of the people that pop by here know that I work with Mark here in the industry doing I own a camo brand, Nemesis Camo. Been friends with Mark for a number of years, and he works with my camo a little bit, but he's been so kind as to have me come on and chat with him about stuff that we have common interests about. So spent 25 years in the Army, former Army Ranger and Special Forces, 3rd Special Forces Group. Did some military contracting for a while for DOD, Department of State, so on and so forth. And run my company now, which is a consulting company. And that's pretty much it. I know most of the people that stop by to watch the live knows a little bit about us because we come on with a little frequency. So that's a little cap on me, and I'll pitch back over to Mark.
Hey, and I want to point out, you're doing me and everybody else watching the solid by coming on, and boys and girls, we don't do these little intros as a pat on the back. Look at us, Clint. Just by really, he just gave you the abridged, the comic book version of everything. But very grateful, Clint and Patrick, for all of our guests who come on, take the time away from their families to share their backgrounds and an experience, because it is a different perspective based on those backgrounds and those experiences. Just to give Clint a quick plug, and I don't have permission to show something off, but the camo pattern he's created and what he's trying to do. So both in terms of it's just cool. It's a good camo pattern. I mean, but cool isn't good enough. It has to be effective. It's a very effective camo pattern. And Clint used his background and experiences to make that a reality. So, we might be wrong about things. I was wrong on some stuff, as I already said. I thought there was going to be a lot more violence and turmoil. Hey, if ever there was a time to be wrong, that's what you want to be wrong about. So anyway, thank you, Clint, for coming on. And Patrick, P. Rick, same as always. And you probably, when your intro, let me know how much time you have, because I know you're on a time crunch tonight.
Yeah, I've got 30, 45 minutes tops, and it's a hard out because I'm going on TDY tomorrow. But yeah, so just quick intro. I mean, again, thanks for having me on the podcast. I've been on numerous times. So I was born in, professionally raised by, Uncle Sam's misguided children, also known as the Marine Corps. Moved on from there, got introduced into the Army via the 20th Special Forces Group. Shortly around that same time frame, got into law enforcement, local law enforcement. 9/11 happened, back into the fray. Ended up working.
Hey, time out for a short period of time. Actually, had to take orders from me.
I did, absolutely did. Yeah, yep. So there's another story we'll say for one of the more fun ones, and then ended up crossing paths yet again at CIA for a few years, and then let's see, I interspersed in there, I had some law enforcement stuff where I was working narcotics and SWAT, and then after I left the agency, and then started work with Homeland Security, where I am currently employed right now, Department of Homeland Security on the federal side. So that I guess necessitates my statement that all these opinions are mine and mine alone, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the United States government or any entities thereof. How's that? Is my legalese okay?
That was very good. I'm going to add to the legalese, and not a single one of us is suicidal. Just throwing that out there.
True.
None of us are suicidal.
If anything happens to any one of us, it was them.
Damn right. Hey, so let's get into that. So I'll start off maybe this conversation. I want you guys, and especially Patrick, I want that you, Clint, I want you and Patrick, because of the time limitation restriction on his side, to get out as much of, comments, as possible in the next 30, 45 minutes. I just want to start it off from my side and I've set it up again, and I'll just waste a couple more seconds. Thank the Lord. And I'm not taking the Lord's name in vain. I'm so happy to have been wrong. And I'm saying that because maybe that's a place for you guys to start. Did we just catch evil flat-footed? Like in a boxing match, was evil thinking we were going to do something, we did something different? Or is it they have nothing else? Evil has the same playbook, and this time somebody got a copy of it and, was able to, counterattack or effectively, attrit evil's attempts, because nothing happened. And again, we're not anywhere out of the woods, boys and girls. I mean, just because nothing happened during, the last week, I just saw somebody on TikTok or X. I think TikTok's back, so I can't remember what it was, but this is making the rounds. And this person is talking about somebody needs to go assassinate Trump. Now, why there isn't local law enforcement, state law enforcement and federal already knocking on her door and putting her in cuffs, I don't know. But let me just kind of start that. I was wrong. Thank God. I thought there was going to be more disruption. There wasn't. Why do you guys think that was the case? I mean, happily, it didn't happen, but why do you guys think that was what we just witnessed here this week? Whoever wants to start. Free form. P-Rick.
Let me jump in. Okay.
Yep.
So I think kind of what we discussed last time, I think the late announcement that everything was being moved within the rotunda would throw a wrench into the plans of anybody that had anything significantly planned. Second thing I'll say is, just because nothing has been publicly reported doesn't mean there wasn't individuals or entities that had plans that were thwarted or at least not identified. So stomp.
Yeah. There was that guy who tried to enter the Capitol building with I think it was the Capitol building with a bunch of like edged weapons. I don't know if you guys are tracking that. Yeah. So I guess that kind of happened, but Snowshoe Dave just kind of chimed in and said, I just posted his comment a second ago. He said they did not expect to lose. Patrick, you want to kind of use that and then kind of hit that up to Clint?
Wait, what does he mean by that?
Well, he's saying, Snowshoe Dave is saying, I think, and I get this. So this is going to be a stupid comment here, but I think everybody will get it. Snowshoe saying evil, did not expect to lose. So they were caught flat-footed. I think it was one of the last episodes I talked about when I was downrange after Bin Laden had been killed. And I'm meeting with no shit fucking terrorists, me and one other guy, with like little pea shooters. And the only reason we weren't killed or on a snuff film is because they didn't know how to respond. In other words, it caught them totally flat-footed. I think that's Snowshoe. If you want to chime in, I think that's how I interpret anyway. What he's saying is that we were able to get through this because they didn't expect to lose. And even though it was 2 months, that's they just didn't have time to get their shit together. I think that's how he's saying it.
Well, I think they the ubiquitous they is that encompasses a lot of folks, right? So, and I think if we go back, I think our last podcast was pretty spot on. I mean, what a complex target. One of the most like protected, heavily surveilled areas on like everybody at the height of their awareness, and it was moved inside. So, looking at it from the red team perspective, this would have been extremely difficult to pull off, even if it had gone off in the traditional, way. But, again, there were people identified that did have ill intent, that either were not allowed in the area, not allowed in the country, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, again, just because everything, nothing did happen doesn't mean people didn't have plans to take action. So I'll say, hey, this is a win for the good guys.
And it doesn't mean that those people aren't just biding their time and waiting for a better opportunity, right? A more, when the tactical advantage is better for them.
Correct.
Yeah. Clint?
Man, all enemies, foreign and domestic. There layers of people with agendas. I think really this last time, I think that the 2020 election, I really think they're not that smart, and I think they blew their wad. And when I'm talking wad, I'm talking a shotgun shell wad. I think they kind of blew their wad with all their tricks. I think that they really were like, man, we got something for this, and we're going to mess with the votes, and we're going to mess with the Dominion machines. And as a matter of fact, we're not going to put any National Guard or any security up at the Capitol. I think that they really thought that they were that smart, and they marched forward with their plans, but they've been outed on everything. I think all their good ideas were played. So they're really this election cycle, the inauguration, I did not see those people playing the same games, because I think that they thwarted themselves. Now everybody knows what their game is, and a lot of corrections were made, and people were expecting it. It's like, okay, don't put any security up at the Capitol again, because you already did it once. Next time you will know you were wrong. So they had to put some troops up there. They had to freaking make some adjustments in security. There was the voting machines and a lot more poll watchers. And I mean, so many things were done to make the election happen, to make the inauguration go well. And now we're sitting watching Trump go back to North Carolina and sit there and talk to the people on the ground, and going out to California, and literally, I mean, it was amazing watching the speech at the inauguration, where he pulled no punches and just showed those people, you have been effing this up for the last 4 years, and I'm going to call you out in front of everybody. And they did, So I think a lot of things changed for the election. The inauguration, security, January 6th, the counting of the Electoral College. A lot of things were just done better because they couldn't do it again, because they had already played that card.
And just bring it right back to you and or Patrick, however you guys want to respond. I think we're still seeing some of that. Like these the strategy of evil that worked back in, from basically it's been working since, the Obama era, but, specifically targeting Trump since 2016, very effective. And, in the Biden administration, look, you don't have to agree with me politically, but I mean, just go back and look at it and just try to be as, neutral as possible. Use your brains, not your emotions. And you'll see all the things, the censorship and again, you've heard everybody say this. Evil accuses us of doing what they're doing. And that's been rampant, and that's been in front of for anyone who is willing to see. That's been going on for years now. But Clint, to your point, I also because we have seen them trying to reach back deep into the old playbook, and it's just like a big fizzle. It's like a low order debt. It just like somebody didn't set that up right, and you just get a fizzle as opposed to an explosion. Yep. Oh, your ex-wife's girlfriend's mother said that you were a bad man, and then the ex-wife's girlfriend mother comes out and said, I never say that. Leave me the fuck out of this. Type of thing. Mm-hmm. So, the Me Too movement, you're a Nazi, again, is anyone even really thinking Elon Musk just did a Nazi salute? I mean, come on, let's just jump into that as maybe a segue. Like, really? Is that,
I'm telling you, I like the one where the comparison, they had Adolf Hitler drinking a glass of water, and then they had Elon drinking a glass of water. Yeah. See, I told you.
I told you. There's another one where it's like a pain scale, like, a circular, you're hitting the red line, and then like, if your hand's down here, it's this. And if your hand's here, it's like, and then it was funny. Whoever did it, they're like, you're measuring the height of Marco Rubio. And if your hands, and then it's like, then there's this little zone where it's Hitler. And then, then after that, it's like something else. But then there's all these pictures of, AOC and Clinton and all these other people doing the same. Well, shit, that was out there today. What's that guy? I know his name. I always want to say Sarkozy. France. What is that clown's name right now?
Who's that?
The leader of France, not Sarkozy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, come on, man. He's just he's a shitty, weird politician. He reminds me, I always get him mixed up with, no offense, Canada, no offense, France, but Justin Trudeau and
I wouldn't remember. It's my old man brain fog.
Well, anyway, Macron. There you go. Thank you. Learn me something. Well, ground fog, I guess, got it too. I better come over here and pay attention to some of these comments. I'll get to you guys in a second. But yeah, Macron just did it the other day too. Is he a Nazi as well? So where I want to go with you guys respond is I think everybody's seeing through the bullshit. I really do think part of the veil, the sheep, the wool over, your eyes is being lifted. And I think people are starting to see through it.
If there was ever one of those, the boy who cried wolf, they played this all out. Everybody's catching it. All their plays have been exposed. All the habitual lying is it's played it out, and people are not falling for it at this point.
Well, and then
less people.
Yeah. Well, and then, you take that into the whole, what is it? Piven, if you look at some of the Marxist strategies and the playbooks, isolate, and gaslighting and all this stuff. I think, again, we survived 4 years and people started to wake up to that. I mean, how many, it's almost each passing day, you see somebody coming out of the closet, out of the shadows, or coming over to, the side of freedom and the side of righteousness. And I do mean righteousness when I say it. I'm not fucking around. Everybody was like, oh, the head of, Planned Parenthood just died. I don't wish her ill. I'm sad to hear to her family. I'm sad that she died, but I'm not going to extol and put on a pedestal somebody who was responsible for being part of a process that murdered, thousands, if not millions of children. Sorry. That's how I believe. Right. So I don't know why. So I think people are seeing through that, because even that got called out in a lot of media. And that's why I just brought it out. Why are we talking about this person like she was a saint? Planned Parenthood is killing human beings. Now that's an argument we could have if you want to get into that. But at the end of the day, this isn't about saving the mother. We all know that. So don't say that. This isn't about, oh, I've got, it's my body, my choice. There's a body inside of your body. What about that body's choice? So yeah. Sorry, I don't want to take us into the abortion conversation, but Patrick, I kind of wanted to take that and kind of bring it down to you, because what I'm really just trying to get at is, I think common sense is maybe coming back a little bit and people are starting to wake up. Clint, I hope I'm echoing your comments. We've seen their playbook. We know the plays they're running, and everybody's calling bullshit, and throwing bullshit flags on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
P-Rick?
Well, I don't know if you want me to go into, what's happened this week, but I will start by just saying that what's happening with all the executive orders. We're in a very dynamic and fluid situation at the same time. So,
okay, are you going to go down the road I think you're going to maybe go down from when we talked earlier?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second then. Let me just kind of get caught up, because there's a bunch of stuff for you and Clinton here. So, now Gene is saying something, but he just says, he's got to think about his words differently so he doesn't get banned on ScrewTube. Everybody can see that.
I'm glad Gene's on, because I want to draw a parallel with what's happened in Europe versus in the UK with what's going to possibly happen here, given the right circumstances play out.
Rock on. And then Snow, she was talking about with all the money and the celebrities, that didn't, Clint, back to your point, that didn't play out either. I mean, they tried running that and no one gave a shit what Cardi B or anybody else had to say about stuff. I mean, you want to make a comment to that real quickly? I mean,
only real quick, that so many upper level celebrities have they've lost their credibility And I mean, when you start seeing the P. Diddy stuff, the Epstein stuff, you start seeing who's friends with who, and they've lost a lot of their credibility. So you're not getting much out of that. You can throw these people up on stage and they're like, why would I trust them? They've been to the P. Diddy party 80 times, So, I mean, a lot of them lost their credibility.
Yeah. And that whole getting all of the Marvel Avengers together for pro Biden, whatever, no one gives a shit. Like you just said, everybody sees through that. So I do think that was part of, they were, because they're unimaginative. They can't meme, and evil cannot meme, and evil cannot come up with a new game plan. But the first time around, it was pretty effective. Then you got some comment. This is a comment for you, Clint. It's Ty from.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Okay. You got it. All right. Ty says hello to you. All right. Yep. Does Ty owe you money by any chance?
No, not at all.
We can't throw Ty under the bus.
No, just another great brand partner out there working with Nemesis Camo, and they do some great stuff up there, great gear. And
okay. Is that
glad he stopped by?
Oh, hang on a second. So that's somebody who's working with you on the Nemesis side?
Yeah.
All right, everybody, go check him out. Give him a shout. Go look at him, and if it's something that you're willing to support, give him a holler. Send some of your hard-earned cash that way if they've got something that's gonna benefit you. Chameleon Trousers. I hope that's just Chameleon Trousers, Clint. That where they can find it.
No, it's actually SESSTAC, SETAC, and Tyler works also at or owns Honesty Innovations.
Okay.
Honesty Innovations. So they make a lot of cool little accessories, gun bags, and holsters, and just all kinds of great stuff. Good brand partners like Centerline Systems.
Well, okay, so let's everybody give them a shout, and there's enough information in his comment right there. You can Google it and find it. Then Snowshoe, back to what we're saying, Clint, your point. Again, Patrick, and I hope this has given you some more arrows in your quiver. His comment was like, I think Evil thought they had it wrapped up, and there was a part of me that kind of thought Evil, because Evil was acting like they had it wrapped up. They're like, oh yeah, we're not worried, we got this. And then your buddy is saying culture war is what I think they pushed more than anything else. And to the point, I don't think that worked this time around. AVV is in the house. Yep. All I know is once he took office, a huge weight was lifted off your chest. Yeah, I feel that same way, but not, now I'm becoming a little bit more white pilled. I'm like, oh, with each passing day, it's like, okay, maybe there's a chance. Now I know we're going to talk about finances here, which is boring to a lot of people, but to me, it's one of our top 3 threats to our nation right now is our economic future. And that could very easily destroy us. Back to Chameleon Trousers. They lost that once we all saw what they were willing to do. Yeah. And people would, yeah. And I think to your point, sir, yeah, people are waking up and they're not willing to be lied to, and I just think people are starting to wake up. Yeah. And then Snowshoe, yeah, they blame everyone else for what they're doing. And then people were squirming away on Macron. But then this is the best. Gene didn't give me Macron. He just called me Kermit. He just said, oh, just call that guy Kermit the Frog. I'm like, okay, good one, Gene. Well done, sir. Or if you put on the correct sunglasses, you'll be able to see the hidden agenda. Great reference to They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper. And then Chameleon saying here to support. Well, thank you, sir. And then you got a little props. Somebody's already checked out your website. And all right. Anyway, well, we did need to. So, I mean, God bless you. And thanks for being here. All right. P-Rick got that kind of, hellos and salutations and support out there. So take it away, sir, if you're still on track.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. I'm relegated to my phone for some reason. My computer had some issues tonight. So, because that's why the small screen. But anyway, yeah, again, a dynamic situation that's going on right now. All the executive orders that have come out, some of the key ones that have impacted us. People are trying to wrap their head on our designation of, cartels, groups like Tren de Aragua and others as foreign terror organizations. So my understanding is that, the State Department has to officially put them on the designation list in order for that to happen. Well, Marco Rubio already, he got confirmed, so he's in. We'll probably see that, within 24 hours. So that's coming. local law enforcement in some states, if you pay attention to who are the states that are already standing up, the so-called blue states, against any immigration actions and stuff like that, their attorneys general.
P. Rick, if you don't mind, not that you didn't say this, but I just want to emphasize, folks, we are a country of laws. I mean, 18 USC, whatever, like, and that designation, once somebody falls in that category, that's serious. That's legit. And this is I just want to emphasize that this isn't just a word or a document bantered about or thrown around. This is like, no shit. This is real law. I mean, well, I'm sorry, P. Rick, keep going.
No, you're right. So that's also why a lot of these, Democratic senators and stuff are slow rolling and dragging their feet to slow down all these confirmations, so that their, the blue states can come up with their own ways. And you're already seeing it in I think Midwest. I know in the Chicago area, you've seen issues. I saw somebody sent me a news story of Chicago public schools coming out and saying, "Oh, hey, ICE agents came into our school today, and we kept them out, and they weren't allowed to talk to children, and this and that and the other." Well, but why did they come there? Who did they arrest that might have worked in the school, right? So that's a problem. I mean, this is a lot of political posturing. So Illinois, their attorney general, I'm sure some of the others I haven't looked into, because again, this is all changing, have come out with their own guidance to law enforcement agencies and others that protect their immigrant communities from, federal law, and local law enforcement officers are not allowed to, enact, federal statutes and this and that and the other. And they're not to share information with federal agencies, so on and so forth. Well, that's all great and fine until, we get Pam Bondi in, and it becomes, actually codified in an 18 series code. And now these people will then be, interfering with, a federal investigation or an arrest warrant or what have you. It's completely asinine. I've talked to several local law enforcement agencies, and they're all on board helping out. They know that there's a serious problem in their communities. It's the states, like the attorney generals and some of their elected leadership, that's trying to put on this political front under the guise of, hey, we're just trying to look out for these poor people. Well, a lot of these are not poor people. These are either professional criminals and or now soon to be designated terror organizations who do nothing but, stream fentanyl into the United States and traffic, small boys and girls. Is that who you're trying to protect? Let's get real. I'll kind of pause there for digestion, or if anybody's got anything to add to that.
We have one comment to add to that, but before I read it, and you might be able to correct me on this, I might be a little bit off, but I think the stats that came out at the end of the day, we're already looking at 1,300 arrests for deportations. Of the 1,300, 300 were wrap-ups. In other words, they were rating, again, Homan's being very clear about this. We are going after the criminal element first. And so, but if you're hanging out in a house with a criminal element, that was the target in the target, or I'm trying to think of the legal term, you are the recipient of the search warrant, right? The search warrant's written for you specifically, but it's not fruit of a poison tree. If you're hanging out in that house and I'm coming after P. Rick, for example, and there's, or Clint's coming after P. Rick and I'm hanging out with Patrick, and I'm, and I've also committed a crime, there is no, well, you can't arrest me because your warrant was only for Patrick. It's like, no, you're a wanted criminal too, and you happen to be standing here. So even the 300 wrap-ups or extras, we're still people who had some type of immigration, illegal, some criminal activity, charge filed against them. And of the 1,000, I mean, again, he kind of just did the top 10, so to speak. There was somebody who was on the terrorist watch list. I mean, that's already come on, man, that's already a win right there. But we had pedophiles, drug dealers, gang members. Again, tell me how you think you're serving. I'm saying this specifically to that, just that fake fraud, agent of evil, who spoke at the at that Episcopal church, the church that the presidents go to, to Trump, dude, this isn't about taking care of your brothers and your sisters and this, that, and other. Like, these are criminals. These are people like, and I don't care what anyone says, and I'm going to shut up and turn it to Clint. Your first act on the road to become an American citizen can't be breaking our laws. And that's this. I mean, it is illegal immigration. It's 18 USC 2 something, whatever, but it is already a violation. There already is a process. I just don't know. If your arguments be, well, if you want to say, well, we've got to do the right thing. Okay, well, then make an argument based on trying to find it. But then if you're going to do that, and I'm going to turn this over to Clint, I just realized maybe I'd set that up. If you're going to do that, and that's going to be your argument, and you're going to take the blood and treasure from our country for other people who are poor or who live in a shitty country. What about the poor people living in this shitty country? What about the veterans sleeping on the streets? What about all the people in Chicago who weren't getting, their basic assistance, the needs that that we have provide for them because it was going to other people? What about the poor folks in North Carolina who everybody said, oh, that's conspiracy. FEMA never moved the money around. And here's all this money for other shit. And there's people in North Carolina still living in fucking tents right now after Hurricane Helene. Sorry, might get a little bit frosty here tonight. Clint, go ahead, sir.
No, I agree. And the thing is I love the way that Tom Holman has started this. I mean, they've been very, very clear, totally the transparency at this point is stifling. When you have a whole slew of reporters are letting them in, and Trump will do 45 minutes worth of on the spot questions, no teleprompters. He's sitting there answering the questions as he's signing executive orders. It is refreshing, to see that kind of transparency. Somebody that has truly got the issues, they understand them and can regurgitate these things on the spot, answering questions. And what are you going to do about it? And have an answer. It's amazing. That being said, about the illegal immigrants, okay, there's just something, personal responsibility. I deal with my actions every single day. If I go out and I go speed, I get a ticket. If I don't pay my my heat bill, they shut the heat off. There's some personal responsibility. And if you come in this country illegally, and you came in this country illegally, I don't feel bad about that. And I know I've brought this up before. My wife is an immigrant. We came through the proper channels to go through each phase of her visas and green cards and citizenship, and paid our way, stood in line, did everything we were within the law. And if at any point I stopped doing that and just said, you know what, we're not going to do the rest of this. Why don't you just hang out, and we're not going to pay no more money, and we'll just won't tell them you're here. I'm assuming that responsibility for that action. And that's why I don't feel bad about this stuff. That I want people to come here. I want smart people to come add to the country. I want them to come work jobs, but they got to do it legally. And, if I was the head honcho in charge for a day, I guess my last thought on that was I would say, hey, you know what? Here's what we got. You got 90 days. You got 90 days to get down to an immigration office and go declare yourself of being here. And if you go willingly and go let somebody know, well, and that's for the gotaways. There's a lot of people that had way before the border, they've been here. Start letting people you're here. Get some kind of a way to stay, get a court date, whatever it is, go through it legally and deal with it. Because you can't just stay here legally and then make money, send it home, don't pay into anything, go use the emergency room, get all these subsidies. It just don't work like that. Personal responsibility.
No, but according to the media, we're supposed to take pity on a woman who's crying because the CBP app got shut down, and she can no longer break our laws as easily. Like, that's the messaging. And going back to the comments that we see in the chat, I think that's what everybody's waking up to. It's like, hold it. We're supposed to feel sorry for somebody because we're not letting them break our laws. Like, this cell doesn't work anymore. And then, again, bringing it back to, that religious figure out there in DC. I don't even know her name. I saw a little bit of it and I just was so disgusted. For full disclaimer, I haven't seen her whole speech. I just couldn't. It was just disgusting. I mean, I actually was attending when I first moved here. I went to a Catholic church because it was St. Michael's, patron saint of the airborne. I thought that was kind of cool. Second time there, I'm calling one of my former FBI buddy. Well, he's former FBI, calling him up. I'd gone to Catholic mass with him a bunch of times. And, yes, stereotypical FBI Catholic guy. And I'm asking him, he's like, hey, is this normal? This is like, and I stopped going there because it was just politicizing from the pulpit. And I'm here for fire and brimstone. I'm here for me, my personal journey, my experience with my God, figuring out how I can be a better man and better serve my community and society and humanity at writ large. That was just, it was, again, kind of to what you're saying. It's like she was trying to say that, I guess maybe I already kind of said it, but to your point, Clint, there's a legal process already. I mean, she wasn't saying this, but like, what is it that you think we're not doing? So my argument would be, if you're going to do that, then talk about how fucked up the process is and how much there's too much government involved in the process. Like, that is an argument and a conversation I'm willing to have, but
well, that said, Mark, what we should probably be doing is, if they're too busy to handle these federal cases of people coming into the country, maybe they need to stop doing some jobs that they're overreaching on and start focusing on the stuff that they're responsible for. And like Trump's been saying, let a lot of this stuff go back to the states, let them handle it locally, and get us back to having a little variety in our country where you can decide where you want to live, and
yeah.
The laws are in place. The state can handle this stuff. Let the federal government do what they're supposed to do, which is a primary thing, is don't let people come in here illegally.
So this is going to be obviously kicked over to you, P. Rick. I think, if you're willing to answer that because of your, very specific background, but just my last comment on that is, and I hate to say it, so now I'm kind of, I don't, this isn't emotional. She said it, right? She said it in her speech, and we've heard all kinds of other evil people say it in their speeches. How insulting is it to be referred to as, well, who's going to be our janitors, or who's going to pick our crops? Like, come on, boys and girls, they don't care about you as a human being, as a living representation, however you want to look at it. You don't even have to be religious, right? But you have dignity. You have self-worth. You are alive. You do matter. You're a human being. You're not just some chattel, or a bug underneath somebody's shoe. But you heard it in her speech. And a whole hell of a lot of other people, they say the same damn thing. And it's like, I'm like, oh my God, could you be any more racist? Like, holy shit. All right, P. Rick.
Yeah. So just paying that one a little bit. So first off, that's blasphemy. Are you a woman of the cloth, or are you an activist or a politician? If you want to be a politician, run for office, right? If you want to be an activist, don't stand up at the on the pulpit and make that kind of speech, right? Because you're right, it's foolish, it's insulting, and I'm not aware of any thought or action by anybody. But what does she think? We're going to start rounding up children that are supposedly trans and putting them in a camp? Like, why are they afraid for their lives? This is all just fear mongering, political BS. So,
it goes back to some of our other conversations. It is the psyop. Right. It is part of a larger operation, a larger agenda, right. And to some extent, it has worked throughout our society.
Yeah, it has. The informational piece, the information warfare is like warped a lot of people. They bought into this stuff. And now that kind of, with the information side, I'll kick into Tom Homan. I obviously a huge fan. I view, our job, in DHS is the people that want to do the job as people that have been like a dog that's had a muzzle on it and kept in a cage for 4 years. Now all of a sudden we're taken out of the cage and they're removing the muzzle, saying, hey, job. That's literally a lot of people feel that way too. Not to say that we're dogs and we're going to attack people and bite them, but there are bad people that need to be bit and removed from the country, and that's just the way it's going to go. So there's a battle within our government. There's people that are holding on, the anti-Trump to the core, and we're going to hold on to some of these ideologies. So this is Tom Holman talked about it. One of the first operations was, you guys saw a lot of the footage from the roundup was based around Boston and the New England area. And, God bless them, good on them. And also thank you for that Haitian guy for making those stupid comments that praised the Biden and Obama administration for everything they did for him, committing 17, not committing, being convicted of 17.
Yeah.
No telling how many he committed before, that he got away with, right? So there's that. But there was supposed to be a huge operation in Chicago, so information.
Hang on. Just you got to come back to that in case somebody else doesn't follow the news or the media as much as maybe other people. Can you just give a little bit more of the background where you're talking about? Like, he's not making it up, boys and girls. I actually saw the video of the guy saying this stuff. So
yeah, so there's a Haitian, I'm going to call him an illegal alien because we're back to using actual language now. We're not calling them undocumented immigrants. The directive went out on that. We're actually using legally accepted common sense terms again. So he's an illegal alien that was convicted of 17 crimes throughout like the New England area. Well, he was on the list to be removed, and they picked him up. And they pick him up and they're putting him in the truck, there's a camera. So he decides to make an impassioned, like hardcore, macho, statement that, I'm not going back to Haiti. I'm not going back. You feel me? And he's like, F Trump, and, thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you, Obama. Big ups and all this stuff for everything you did for me. Guess what, bro? You are going back to Haiti. And, and last time I checked, Haiti was kind of like in this like state of like disrepair, almost like civil war through. So good luck with that. So maybe you can join your buddy Barbecue down there if you guys don't know what that Barbecue tried to overthrow the government, and he's like an outlaw, and then it's like civil war almost down there. Anyway, okay, so I'll let that one go. So we'll get back to the enemy from within that's still remaining and resisting, right? And that's another reason they're trying to slow roll Kristi Noem's confirmation. So Chicago was supposed to be one of the big operations first because there's a ton of people in that area that need to be removed. I mean, we're talking like terrorism watch list. We're talking about like the worst of the worst. Somebody at DHS headquarters for ICE, and ICE is comprised of Homeland Security investigations and the enforcement removal operations. Those are the two agencies that comprise ICE, leaked the entire operational plan to the media. And in this operational plan, it showed not only the areas that were going to be targeted, who was going to be targeted, but it also named all the agencies that were going to be involved, down to the officers who was in command, their communications channels, hospitals en route in case there was, medical, intervention needed, what airport was going to be used to deport them, what aircraft was set on, on standby, all this stuff. Somebody leaked that. So in essence, what they endangered the lives of numerous federal and state law enforcement were engaged in this operation for the sake of stopping it, but they're not stopping anything. It's going to be delayed. So that's all that's going to be, and they'll recock and root out the people that intentionally leak this information. But that's an example of how it's going to take time to root these people out within the government that are still in this mindset of like Trump is bad, everything immigration related. And this is ICE. This is what we're dealing with. So,
hey, before you go any further, I want to just make a quick comment. I want to give Clint a chance to comment to it.
Yep.
I meant to actually, like, this is one of the hills I'm willing to plant my flag on, and P. Rick, you did a great job of summarizing that event. But don't forget, that's also now you're putting the lives of the citizenry at risk. Yeah. So for your personal self, not you, P. Rick, but the person who leaked this, for their own personal, political, emotional, selfish reasons, they put the lives of, whether you like federal employees or not, they're still human beings, right? And, not all those men and women are, douchebags, right? There's a lot of good people actually in those organizations who want to do the job. They want to do the right thing. There really is a leadership issue. And Clint, I kind of set you up with that one right there. Mm-hmm. But somebody leaked that information and didn't just put the lives of those officers at risk. And so unless your argument is like, well, it's okay to kill healthcare, officials or whatever, murder them in the street. If that's your argument, well, then there's nothing we have to talk about. But they really did put that operation, and therefore, the lives of all of those officers participating and all of those citizens, could have been your babysitter, your cousin, your best friend, your girl, whatever, put the lives of all of those people at risk. To me, I hope Tom Homan and Radcliffe or something. Well, Radcliffe can't do, or maybe Kash Patel if he gets, gets into office. But somebody's got to find out that leak right there, Patrick. that has to be crushing me, because
They
there's so many laws that have been broken right there, and we cannot abide by this anymore. Period.
on their
The
own.
person who did that could quit and just go be an immigration rights advocate. Go do that then. Don't put the lives of innocent people at risk for your own gender, your posturing or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yep.
Clint?
I mean, they endanger the lives of their own agents and officers. That's
Yeah.
what they did to make some kind of political statement. And they will be found out, and hopefully they're dealt with very severely. But
I hope it's public. I hope we find out and we read in an article on Monday, hey, this the person who did it, so-and-so from this department or this field office or whatever is now facing, 10 to 15, and not in the fun federal. If you go watch Office Space, if you want to have the best definition of good federal penitentiaries or the not so good federal penitentiaries, go watch Office Space.
Well, so to Clint's point, I mean, this is not only is it our own people, you're endangering the citizenry. There's just so much. I get upset thinking about it, but a lot of the groups, like let's talk for a second about like some of the targeted groups that are able to continue to terrorize communities and do all kinds of vile acts, not like violent crime, but also trafficking of young boys and girls. I mean, that's what they do. They make a lot of money on it, right? The thing that is different with Trinidad versus like others is that they come from Venezuela, and they were sent here at the behest of the Venezuelan government, the Maduro government, to come up here and wreak havoc and do these things to show how the United States can be destabilized. They're doing that to make a point. So what you've got if you follow international stories, like there's partnerships with Venezuela and the Chinese, Venezuela and the Russians, Venezuela and the Iranians. So now what you've got is you've got a group of people up here who are a paramilitary organization that could have, and likely in some cases do have, nation state support. So Clint, coming from the SF background, doesn't that sound like a G-force?
Oh yeah. And that's the what I'm seeing. One, we had a somebody that has already been in the Oval Office that's seen a lot. We're adapting every day. And right back to this operation with Holman, they're going to see, oh my gosh, we're going to have to minimize the amount of people that know what's going on, what we're doing. So we're going to adapt. And once that leak happens, now it's on the radar. Okay, somebody's leaking this stuff. So it's going to need to be on a need to know basis only. And if it happens again, we'll narrow the bandwidth to figure out who did this time. And I like to see the adapting. And it's just like President Trump. The news cycle right now is on light speed. Everything that's happening is making news, so it's almost like you can't keep up with it. And these confirmation hearings, they've only got a certain amount of time for the confirmation hearing. They're going to have to vote, and they know they don't have the numbers, and they certainly don't have the American people's mandate. They go against it, they're going to pay.
Yeah.
But okay, gentlemen, real quickly, but that is happening. We have just childish politicians who are holding up the progress on, Hegseth's being, held up. I think Gabbard just got held up, and somebody else, and Schiff just held somebody up. Oh, I think he hold up Bondi because Bondi wrecked him during her confirmation. But we have that. Like, I hope the American people see, like, this is who you're electing. These would you put up with that shit from your kid? No, you'd be like, sit your ass down and start, behaving. But that's what we start seeing. So I really kind of bringing it back to you guys, but I just wanted to throw that out there. No, they are doing that. They are trying to play little games, hold, slow roll or hold up the confirmation hearing process for some people. But I do see it as an act of desperation.
It was
like,
nothing
going to work.
It was expected. It was all expected.
Yep. Well, let me.
So I'm sorry. I'll let you jump in, Pat. We're already ahead of schedule. You know, I mean, Trump already
Yeah.
came in there. He knew exactly what he needed to do and started signing stuff. You know, he already had the right people picked out for the right jobs. We're way ahead. So go ahead.
No, back to your kind of blew over this, but we are seeing a level of transparency that the people haven't seen in ages, right? Like, and probably ever, because like, you know, like, let's go back to like the Reagan days. Like, you didn't have social media, you didn't have this stuff. So, you know, social media and all these different avenues of communication. Trump is, you know, hey, he's having conversations while he's signing executive orders. Why he's doing that? He's letting people, you know, in North Carolina get on the mic or tell them what happened. I mean, transparency is the order of the day. So whoever was the person that leaked this stuff, I feel 100% confident that their name is going to be publicly put out there, and people, and they're going to know that, right? So, it's
man. I so hope that will be. I hope you're right, man. Dude, and why not then go back, find out who leaked the Supreme Court on Roe v. Wade, find out who, you know, dude, you and I have had these conversations. You and I both know, with the resources at our disposal for where we used to work fucking a decade ago, I could have had that. I would have had that narrowed down in 24 hours, solved the guy standing before, you know, there's your guilty guy. Here's all the evidence you need in 2 days. Yep. And P-Rick knows, and Clint, you know what we're talking about, because again, at the end of the day, it's just common sense shit, and then using the tools to like start going down the list. So I hope you're right, Patrick. Because that needs to be a public example, because a law has been broken, lives have been put in jeopardy for somebody's selfish. Oh, look at how because they want to make sure that they have janitors and field hands, because that's all they think Hispanic people are. You know.
Something on so many levels. Hey, I've got to go here in a second, but I'll throw this out for you guys, and anybody who's listening wants to chime in on it. But with slow rolling these confirmations, you've got people in acting positions at like Department of Justice, Homeland Security, FBI, so on and so forth. Why do you what else do you think might be going on while why would they slow roll this stuff? Here's a question. If for those who haven't been in environments like this, there's such a thing as a destruction plan, meaning if like the embassy is going to be overrun, hey, we need to start trashing all the sensitive equipment and shredding all the documents. I would love to see the trash bags coming out of the Department of Justice and the FBI and all these agencies right now while this is going on. I guarantee you those shredding machines are probably like overheating. They need oil and maintenance guys on standby right now. God knows what's happening, because I'm quite sure that's why this slow rolling. Otherwise, why do it?
No, but that's a damn good point. And the evidence will be destroyed, but you'll have again, and it's not proof, right? But it's coincidental. But like, why are all the energy spikes? Like you said, why were you working the shredders and the burn bags for 72 hours straight? Like, oh, show me where that's your normal SOP, and then I want to hear your excuse for why you just did it. Like like you realize you hadn't been doing it for the last 3 months, and then you finally decided to get caught up because you feared there was going to be a security audit or something. Like P-Rick, come on, man, you're great pull, dude. I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. Hard drives, internal systems, documents, shredder, burn bags, disposal. You're right.
I got to get ready here in a second to take off, but I want to kind of bring something up too for all these leftist leaning attorney generals, governors and stuff like that are selling this stuff to their not to just their communities, but to their law enforcement agencies, that, hey, these people need to be left alone. I saw this in Germany. I've seen, stuff, and I've had briefings from Metropolitan Police from London talking about this. There are areas in Europe that are almost like no-go zones for the police, and in Germany, the Polizei, because it's so violent and that they're really afraid to go in there with any without like numbers. So all kinds of nefarious crap goes on there. They're setting the conditions for that to happen here in some of these states that are trying to say we're protecting these communities. Well, I don't think those communities are the ones you want to protect, and you better be careful what comes of it without any law enforcement, attention or response in there, because that's where evil thrives. And if I'm somebody that hates the United States, that's my place. Just like, the 9/11 guys, they did that stuff in Germany, right? That's because nobody would mess with them. Oh, just let them alone. That's it.
Hey, I know you got a bounce, but I want to bring something right back to you. Clint will be able to respond to this after you're gone, but kind of going back to your G-force, and I'll explain that after you're gone. But you just hit on another thing. The moment in America, in our constitutional republic, the society that we have, the moment we start creating no-go zones, and Europe probably won't wake up and realize this, but to your point right there, P. Rick, if you're conducting any type of, unconventional warfare, UW, whatever it is, whatever scale, whether it's direct action, whether it's PSYOP, what IO, you need to have, and without getting into too much detail, but you have to have support networks, groups, cells, things of that nature. All you're doing is you're aiding and abetting. And I want to bring this back, not so much on the actual operational act, but boys and girls, all of these people who have been allowed to flood across our border, if you want to use your emotions and say, hey, well, we should help people in need. Again, my first thing was, well, then you should be helping, your brothers and sisters in your own country first. And then if we get that shit squared away, then we can start looking at helping other people. But Patrick, back to you, this is exactly what I would be looking for and hoping to create or generate someplace within a nation state that I was trying to disrupt, or maybe finding active measures to take against them back in our old line of work. Can you just add a little bit more to that before you go? Because that was a great point. I don't think people get that. Tren de Aragua, whether, again, whomever it is, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, whatever you want to call whomever it is nowadays, these are the things where, actual direct action operatives are looking for, because these are support networks. And maybe you just got duped and you think you're helping the Red Cross, but the Red Cross is really, a terrorist organization. These are real intelligence operations. So don't just think we're sitting here talking about a bunch of people, just even the criminal element. And even that criminal element, I'm here to tell you, that's one of the things you kind of look at. It's because what takes place in the dark, shady underbelly of the world, terrorism, criminals, drug runners. Well, who do you want to recruit? Maybe some of those people, because they know some of these other people that you're looking to find, kill, capture, find so you can kill, capture. P-Rick, I hope I help you set up.
No, you did. What these states and these cities are creating, they're creating the conditions for, that type of stuff to set up. When you say, hey, we're not going to send law enforcement in there, if I'm on that red side, that bad side that wants to do, evil and have harmful intent, that's perfect. I'm setting up safe houses. I'm storing weapons. I'm storing, whatever it is I need, my illicit funding, all that stuff's going to be there so that we can push things out to, start conducting operations. And if you think that, hey, oh, well, hey, they're a Latin American group. Well, guess what, folks? Foreign nations can co-opt and use proxies to do things, and have done so throughout history. So, for the Chinese or the Russians or whoever to throw some money at them, in addition to, training, and they've already been given direction from the Venezuelan government to come up here and wreak havoc. Hey, wreak some havoc over here, wreak some havoc over there. Let's professionalize. Let's start hitting critical infrastructure. I'm not going to, give a class on Carver Matrix, but when people are professionally guided to do things, it doesn't take a lot of skill. It just takes the willingness and, again, a lawless, environment for them to thrive in. That's what's being created. And that's going to cost American lives. I pray to God nothing happens, but if it does, there's going to be a lot of blood on these people's hands that were worried about these immigrants. And, oh, I need somebody to cut my grass. So, okay, well, I'll cut my own grass to save, American lives. How about that?
The good thing is a lot like overseas, as you're hitting targets, you're building new target packages. Just as soon as you pick up that intel, it's leading you to three other places. Yep. So, if they can keep it, Tom Holman can keep it quiet, keep the intel coming, he's building his next target packages. Okay, this guy knows that guy, and it's going to have follow-on stuff.
Yep.
So, that's the good thing about this. If they can stop the leaks, And that's something they're going to have to stop right now, or they're going to keep getting thwarted, as you're building new target packages and people are getting tipped off. But it's great that they're coming out directly after the guys that you can't argue with. They're really scumbags.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and there's plenty of them all over the country. So just to see that a few hundred, 400, however many, over the past couple of days is done, that's literally a drop in the bucket if you look at the millions that have come across over the past 4 years. So we got a lot of work to do. And again, I think this really drives home the point that ladies and gentlemen, like, you're in charge of your own security. Keep your wits about you. Understand where hospitals are. All these, all the things that we normally talk about on here. It's real. Listen, I am very grateful that, President Trump's in office. I'm very grateful for Tom Homan. I'm grateful for all these changes that are coming. I feel like, when I come to work every morning, it's like opening up a new Christmas present. Hey, there's a new law or something being enacted or a policy change, right? That's more common sense, and it's going to lead towards the safety of the American public. That's why we should want this job. But there's enemies within. We need to clean those out first, and then we really need to go to work on these things. And we need the state and locals on our side. So hopefully, Pam Bondi comes in, and we can legally, maybe speak some common sense to these blue states, because ultimately people are going to die.
And I'm not speaking for Patrick, so this isn't about the DHS, but Patrick just hit on something. Within every entity within the federal government, having worked for the federal government for most of my life in the military and in the CIA, I can only echo, and I've been out of it for 12 years now, I guess. Yeah, about 12 years. Yeah, 12 years or 13 years, whatever. Anyway, I've been out of it for a little while. But I think P. Rick is, kind of, again, we're not saying he's speaking for I'm saying you can look at any entity, most entities. Maybe there are some, like, I bet State Department, there's not a lot of very happy people over there. Sorry, State Department, you guys are kind of communist. USAID, probably this little bit the same. The IRS, no, they're just kind of Nazis. They just want to steal everybody's money. But all the other people, FBI, CIA, DHS, you again, pick that litany of people who actually are supposed to out there getting shit done. I guarantee there's a lot of people like, oh, thank Lord Jesus. Like, I finally get to do my job, right? I get to do my job. And that doesn't mean I'm just going and arresting and busting and, tomahawk cruise missiling people. I'm not saying that. It's like, I get to do my job without all this bullshit. I mean, and here's my example of that, and then I'll shut up, give Patrick his last comments. The head of the U.S. Coast Guard, just got dismissed, and is rightfully so. Your job is to protect our coastal waters, our citizens, drug interdiction. The Coast Guard actually has a very real world mission. I've got nothing but respect for the Coast Guard. Everything from the life-saving capabilities that they bring to the table, but the drug and terrorist, the interdiction capabilities they bring to the table, that can be applied towards drugs, terrorism, illegal immigration, It's a bunch of men and women who want to be badass, helicopter pilots or safety swimmers, that kind of shit. And her whole thing was about, hey, look, and we've got, more women and more this. It was all about DEI. Like, yep. Can any of those guys do the job? Well, just like that, that the fire chief in LA. Hey, if you're a man and you got yourself in a fire, well, of course I can't carry you. But the real question is, what did you do to get yourself in this situation? That's the most important question. No, you can't do your job. That's the most important question. P. Rick, is that really, again, without putting you on the spot or putting you in a situation, is that a pretty fair assessment that I'm willing to bet that this is a sentiment that, as much as DC doesn't want to admit it, is probably rippling through the ranks of some government entities?
I will say that a majority of the people that I work directly with on some of my programs, everybody is elated and kind of like re-energized over this thing. Like I said, I use the analogy of being a dog that's been caged and muzzled for 4 years, and it's the same thing. So to actually be able to keep the country safe, what a crazy concept that we want to do that, right? The Coast Guard is actually what's that?
Racist.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, hey, that's over now too. So I'll throw a couple of things. the Coast Guard is actually part of DHS. So
Yeah.
I have regular, information and intelligence sharing things that we have with them, and they are phenomenal. They catch a lot of stuff that the Navy, doesn't because of the intel that's shared, or the Navy can't, because Coast Guard, even though it's more of a military organization, they have a lot of law enforcement function, catching cocaine subs, catching, vessels with like, people that are going to be sold into slavery. I mean, they do this on a regular basis. I think it was Coast Guard that encountered a couple of Chinese vessels down in the now Gulf of America that were trying to bring SIGINT, apparatus to spy on some SpaceX stuff down in Texas. They're the ones that found that. So I love the Coast Guard. And I used to, being a Marine, everybody busts on them. You coasties, and what do you guys do? That type of, no, they're phenomenal. But yeah, as far as that stuff goes with everybody's motivation, it's reinvigorated. The last thing I'll end with is, one of the Christmas gifts that I opened up, I want to say it was Monday or Tuesday, was email being pushed out saying, effective immediately, all the DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility programs are done. And if there's any attempt to move them, change the name, so on and so forth, that there was an email address to send with that information so that it could be shut down. So that was phenomenal. I saw something on the news where ATFs, they tried to play that little shell game by changing the name or something. They got called out. So it's refreshing, and it's nice to just be back to using common sense language and not having to call somebody, well, a child of an undocumented, immigrant. Like, no, they broke the law. They're an alien. They're an illegal alien. And we're back to calling it that now. So just to be common sense and focused on threats and being able to call them threats is, and that's within the space of a week, folks. So that's, that's why, I feel recharged and reinvigorated.
All right. Well, I know you got a bounce, and I don't want to have household six, hunt me down and kill me, somewhere in the next, 365 days. So final comments. What do you got for us? Give us a little something. Clint and I will carry the water after you're gone, but what are your final comments here for us, Patrick?
No, I just, well, again, hey, thanks for having me on. I think this is always, I like doing it with you guys. I think we have enough diversity, in our background, not the DEI kind, where we can bring different viewpoints to it. And I hope the viewers and listeners can take something away from this. But, positive change is coming, but there's still a fight ahead. So again, urge everybody to always remain vigilant. And just because that, now we're going to be rounding these folks up doesn't mean they're going to go nice and easily either. So, you never know when somebody's going to be fleeing and eluding police on a high-speed chase as you're driving down the highway, that type of stuff. So be mindful of that. It's coming. I pray for our law enforcement officers across the country because they are going to be faced with some lethal stuff. And I pray that their training and their administrations have prepared them for this fight.
And I hope and I pray that their administrations and their political leadership, no matter what the state is, reaches down deep, grabs their balls and supports them.
Amen.
Because if not, then remove yourself from office.
Yep.
This isn't illegal. This is the rule of the land. So here, before you go, I've got authorization to say this. This is now the rule of the land. So DB, I was talking to DB. I don't think he can join us here tonight. Maybe we'll see him, maybe not, but he wanted me to point out something he said a long time ago. If you wanted to be on one side or the other of the pendulum, and if you didn't take that look, I kind of consider myself like a financially conservative libertarian, right? And I think DB I can't speak for him, but he's got a somewhat similar view. He's, a libertarian. His point is like, what did you think was going to happen? You've just spent so many years shoving this stuff down our throat, and then you have been exercising abuses of power. You have been exercising abuses of government. Now the pendulum swung the other way. You have lost. And now this side, within their constitutional legal rights, is going to bring the hammer down. If you would have actually just been normal, rational human beings and helped us find a way to limit the scope of government, the size of government, we wouldn't be in this situation because we would have all been adults about it this whole time. But unfortunately, well, or depending on how you look at it, maybe fortunately, well, there's a new sheriff in town, and the power is this administration's power. It's the same power your administration was wielding, except unlike you guys, we're not doing anything illegal and behind the scenes with Facebook or any of this other shit. It's all right there. It's 18 USC, and this is what's going to happen. Fuck around and find out. P-Rick?
Yep. Amen. Well, on that note, I got to go.
All right.
Hey, pray for me that I don't have a DEIA selected pilot tomorrow on my TDY.
I will actually. Yeah. No, do not. Have a very safe journey, and we'll talk to you again soon. Hey, thanks again for coming on, and hopefully Household 6, isn't too upset with me.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right, gents. God bless you.
Thank you, Patrick. See you. Thanks, sir. All right. Clint, you've been quiet for a while. I'm just going to shut up and let you just jump in wherever you want to jump in. There was a whole bunch of different conversations there. Yeah. I do have one or two other points I want to bring up, but they can wait for a little bit.
I'll tell you one thing that kind of stuck in my head from some of the stuff Patrick was talking about is, there's some people up there destroying evidence right now. There's people trying to cover up things, but boy, the light shall set you free. There are going to be people there that are privy to what they're doing, and you can go ahead and try to continue a conspiracy to inhibit an investigation or whatever, but there's enough people that see what's going on. Boy, that guy spent an awful lot of time in the shred room, and he's the guy that would have this stuff. And and I'll tell you, on the military side, about the last thing anybody wants to hear is 15.6. You hear 15.6, not only whatever it is that they're looking into is going to come out, about 15 other things is going to come out as well. So the rat starts scattering.
What, I can't remember. What type of investigation is that again? What's a
commander's inquiry of 15?
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
So you have something that goes sideways, and they know something a UCMJ has been violated, and they start a 15.6, and that officer that has been tasked with that 15.6, I'm telling you, everyone I've ever seen, it never comes out clean. They just it's like a ripple in the water. The harder they look, the more they find.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh man,
the motor pool's been covering up for this, and S3's been doing this, and the other battalion commander was doing this. Yeah, no, that's seen
it too many times.
Yeah. Just in case, UCMJ, for those watching, Uniform Code of Military Justice. If you're in the military, there is a code of justice that pertains directly to you as a uniform member of the armed services. So that's what he's talking about.
And the bad thing is a lot like with law enforcement within the military and the UCMJ, it's highly pliable, I could say. They go after what they want to go after, and they ignore what they don't want to go after. So it becomes extremely subjective, within that investigation or in federal investigations. All this stuff is highly pliable. And that's, I really get discouraged about that when you start seeing people discriminate against what they want to pursue.
Flesh that out a little bit more.
Literally when they, any local, state, federal law enforcement, they could literally not, I saw that, but I didn't see that. We're going to worry about this. This is what we're going to pursue. Even though I know that just happened, I'm not going to pursue that. It's subjective,
And more often, and that's why I was kind of saying, because more often that happens because, that's somebody I know, or I don't want to address that, sometimes it is simply because I don't want to do the work. And
it is. That's what I mean by being subjective. It ends up in the officer or federal officer or whatever it is, whether they want to pursue it. A perfect example is everything that Trump was just chased up a tree about. It was subjective. Do we want to do this? we do. Let's change some laws so we can go after this. You know, even though this is really something that we would, every legal scholar is saying that we would not pursue, but we want to pursue it. So we're going to make it happen.
Yep. I mean, or it's never been pursued before, or it's never been used in this context before, but you just nailed it. I mean, like, and again, and if I don't care your politics, maybe you don't like Donald Trump, but the lawfare that was waged against them, what Clint just said, I mean, there are a shit ton of much smarter legal scholars than any of us who have come right out and said that same thing. Oh, and by the way, yeah, none of those things stuck. And then the thing that did stick, I mean, again, just look at the people behind it, like that fake rape thing, you know, like the woman saying he raped her, like, you know, or had sex with her in a dressing room, like, you know, 40 years ago or whatever. The individual who's behind that is a billionaire himself who doesn't like some of Trump's things. He's working his own angle to improve his position, you know, and the woman, you know, and then to Clint's point, well, I was wearing this dress. Well, that dress was never invented until, like, you know, 30 years later or 20 years later. Well, that's the dress I was wearing. And then to Clint's point, everybody like, oh, okay, good enough. I guess she must be telling the truth. You know, the only thing she forgot, or the only detail she didn't understand or remember, was what type of clothing she was wearing. And she's referencing clothing that was not even around, or a company that wasn't even around when that took place. And that is good enough for me. I guess I'm not going to like even, well, if she's fucking that up, maybe she's messing something else or misremembering or fabricating something else. Nope, good enough. I don't care, because to Clint's point, I want to go in this direction, so I'm going to find a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
And that is what just happened for the last 4 years.
That's exactly what just happened for the last four years. And again, spending 25 years in the military, like I said, seeing lots of investigations. I spent a few years as a reserve law enforcement officer, so I have been around law enforcement extensively within the military when we were working with law enforcement units and soft units overseas. A lot of experience in that area, and I've seen it too many times. You know, that when you sit there and start watching what's going on the TV, and I always found it interesting when military operations were going on and I was assigned to a particular unit, you know, that would be affected at the some of the higher levels, you know, with the Rangers and Special Forces and some of the units that I served in, you know, they don't want you speculating. They just tell you don't speculate with people, because we know how to put the puzzle together better. You know, well, this is happening and we were over there and that was happening. So you can kind of start putting these obscure pieces of the puzzle together and usually come out with a pretty good picture of what's happening. So they just say, you know what, we don't really want you talking about this stuff with people. Just don't talk about it. Don't speculate, even though you've got a piece of the puzzle, but you know how to put the other pieces together.
And that's what we want to prevent. And boys and girls, that is, I don't know how we'll ever root that out, destroy that, remove that, eliminate that from our government. But there's so many reasons, some of them selfish, some of them cronyism, some of them rice bowl, you know, protecting their own, where that kind of, to our detriment, what Clint just, exactly. Kickbacks, money, you know, budgets, all that kind of bullshit.
Or influence, money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, setting themselves up for their next career once they leave office. I just saw a thing of, what's that? He used to be the speaker. Yeah, he was a rhino. He was, you know, fake Republican, Ryan. I think he was from Illinois. Yeah, Paul Ryan. I think, I'm pretty sure he was from Illinois.
Yeah.
That guy's over there in Davos hanging out. Why is Paul Ryan, who's been why is he hanging out in Davos?
That's a great point. I'm telling you, I am enjoying seeing these people that shouldn't have a security clearance have their security details being yanked, so they think they're a somebody, and getting their security clearances yanked as well, where they shouldn't even be involved in that. That's like the precedents being broke with Obama being planted right there in DC. It's like, go back to where you came from. Your time is over. Move on. There's a new president. Let him do his stuff, and you quit weaving your webs up here. You know, go home.
Yeah. Hey, look, so here, like on a very serious note, and now we're kind of, this is the spirit of the CLS After Darks. You guys can make a comment and say this is a dumb section we're about to get into. But, you know, when I left the agency, so I was a pretty senior GS-14. I had a a top secret, SCI, secure, so I had a very high clearance. All I'm trying to say, right? I'll just shut up on that TSSCI caveats, blah, 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 some sappy things, but to Clint's point, so when I left the agency, I didn't carry that around with me. That didn't follow me. I didn't get to leverage that. I was still not at a sufficient high enough leverage or level to leverage my experience and that trust that was given to me by the American people. I couldn't find it. I wasn't able to leverage that into my own personal benefit like so many other people. So if somebody wants to complain, oh, Trump just took away the security clearances of why do they even have security clearances? Literally, because to your point, what are they doing? If they left that position and then applied someplace and then got a job in that other agency or that department and it required a security clearance, well, okay, great. You already have one. That's a very enticing thing for people leaving those entities. Hey, and I've got this type of clearance and, because that saves a lot of money. Background investigations are not cheap. But to Clint's point, well, but if you're not doing that, well, then, and if you're doing it for a private sector think tank or whatever, why do you have that? Why do you still have access to that? That should just be, here, that's a great point. I've got to try to remember and think about how I'm going to start doing my social media differently, especially over on X, because that's a post right there. There's nothing to complain about. The real question is, why aren't we doing more? Mm-hmm. No one should have that. I lost mine. You get it.
Tell you the truth, I don't even know how that. I know some of the basics of it, but I mean, there was a certain time that my security clearance stayed in place until a certain point it fell off. It was not being sponsored anymore by the U.S. military, which paid for that security clearance to go out and have background checks done and all that. It expired. And unless you have somebody to sponsor that security clearance, you don't have it anymore. It expires, So how these people are keeping security clearances, like these 52 guys that, people that were on this Russian dossier, how, if you've been out of that position that you had that security clearance, why did it not come to a stop? And it's a joy watching these people get that level clearance taken away, because you're in the private sector now, and you should not, if you're not serving in that with the government, you don't need to know all that.
And that just shows the rot of DC. And I hope one of the other things that, the big picture, if at the end of this administration, or, Lord help, or Lord, seriously, if we can get another very similar administration, 4 years from now, this has to be another one of those areas that needs to be destroyed and done away with. Just like you can't be a politician and use your position on a select committee and then do insider training and stock trading. Boom, done. The whole, outside groups, that influence, done. The campaign contributions. Hey, if you want to, give me a campaign contribution as you're a private American citizen, you can do that. But, you don't hold any influence or sway over me. And then finally, to what you just said, because the security clearance game, higher echelon shit, SIS, GS-15, SIS-1 and above, or SES or whatever it is, or, full bird colonels to, brigadier generals, first star, leveraging their positions in the military, maintaining all of that pomp and circumstance, the clearance, the security detail, the access, and then working for a private company. If Clinton, myself, we make our own company, and then we just bring all these, DC insiders in, but they're working for us, which means they're making bonuses and stuff, and we're all making millions of dollars. Clint's absolutely right. There's no effing reason those people should still have their security clearances and be able to leverage their previous positions and the knowledge that went with those positions. Because again, you're under a non-disclosure. It's different, but you get what I'm saying. You're signing some documentation and some stuff saying, hey, I'm not going to talk about what I did or what I have access to and what I know. There's still some things in my life, and Clint knows this. And so does some. You guys can probably piece it out. There's things, if you wanted me to give you an official resume, I have to have my resume cleared. And there's some stuff on that you're just going to be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, exactly. But I still have to play the game, So
Yeah. And they call that in a lot of settings, they call those hall walkers, and I don't know if you've heard that term on your side but in the military side, they're hall walkers. Once you're not in uniform anymore, but you have all the contacts, where all the buildings are, where all the doors that go in there, you have contacts into those areas. You have friends that you've PCS to retired, whatever, but they're still on active duty. So it's kind of like, come on in, they know you, but at some point that needs to be restricted, because now you're in buildings that you've gained access that you shouldn't have access to anymore.
And we should create a system that discourages people who enter into these professions for those reasons. And I'm here to tell you, I saw a shit ton of those people in the agency, the State Department, the DOD, like they were using it so they could have, and like, you're kind of rolling the dice. Hey, I hope I survive these next 4 years. And if I do, I'll be able to leverage this for what I really want to do. And, mission accomplished, type
And
of
it
thing.
was pretty funny to see old Elizabeth Warren get stumped when she tried to accuse Hegseth of, he was gonna come in and somehow use this opportunity to go out and get follow-on jobs. And well, would you basically, these general officers are getting out? Well, I'm not a general officer, which is perfect. And it left her like, she didn't know what to say after that, because that's what's been going on. Not with this guy, because he's not that kind of swamp rat, so he's going to come in there. And I mean, I think there's I love the somebody to be able to come in there and put these people that think they're above reproach, put them on their heels.
Well, Pam Bondi, like, I really didn't know much about her until these confirmation hearings. And now I've heard some rumors that, but everybody's, again, at the end of the day, we're not going to agree with everybody on everything. Right. So right now, though, if they can be controlled and they can be brought over to the side of, the side of the good side of the force, if you want to, use that kind of language. But if we can bring people over, look, there's no doubt in my mind, all of these people are political animals. But if Trump has nothing to lose, he's not a lame duck president. He's like quite honestly, he's in the fucking driver's seat. He's like, I'm not running for re-election. I'm gonna move forward with my agenda. And if you're not on my team, Team America, right? Team Freedom, if you're going to do that, you're fired. I mean, look at how many people. See what I'm kind of getting at, Clint?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm gonna jumpstart this in a slightly different direction with two things I saw. You may have saw it already, which is music to my ears, because really discouraged with this whole thing, and I don't like it. Just saw it drop a little while ago that Trump has stopped all monies to Ukraine.
Yep.
So everything stopped. That was
great
news.
That was just before close of business today. I just saw that
so
too.
That comes out that he's going to stop all funding to that, which is going to grind this thing to an immediate halt, because Zelensky's going to have to make a deal, because he can't keep going if he doesn't have no money. Well, he's got money. I know he's got all in his condos and stuff now and his yachts. But I digress. What?
No, I'll get there.
Yep. So, I mean, the thing is right after you see Trump come out and say all funding stop for the Ukraine war, you immediately see Putin come in and say, you know what, Trump's a really smart guy. I've been wanting to talk to him about this. Let's come to an agreement, and you're seeing, and it was real funny because they said that, I think we may have brought this up. Trump was being interviewed, and it was said that, he called Xi Jinping over in China, and they had a nice long discussion. He said, hold on for a second, before this gets any further, I didn't call him, he called me. And I love seeing that. I love him making sure he's setting the record straight right then. It wasn't me calling him, it was him calling me, because I'm in the driver's seat right now. This isn't the last administration. And now Putin, and I'll tell you what, like I said, I've been to Russia, and they've made it real difficult. There was 3 years with a war going on, and the administration hadn't made one phone call to Putin to try to stop this. That just oozes, we want this to keep going. And
I wish Redbeard was here right now, because that's a conversation he and I have, offline, when we're just bullshitting. And that's one of the things that upsets him, and it should upset everybody. We just spent 4 years with an administration that flat out refused, as you just pointed, flat out just didn't even make one. Well, I thought that's what we had all these things for, but they made zero effort to try to come to the table. Trump makes one fucking comment, one phone call, like you just said. Yeah, yep.
And that's what I'm saying. The news cycle right now is just, it's fire hose. Bam, he's up in North Carolina talking to those people. Bam, in the same afternoon, he's out in California talking to those people. And when he was making his, his inauguration, his speech, he was literally sitting there. We can't even handle a problem within our own country. One thing happens and it frees up. And I've spoke to this before. I've done some emergency management camps for floods and hurricanes and, different Department of Defense stuff. And you go up there and these systems are broken. But now you see Trump holding people feet to the fire. If FEMA's not working, then figure out how to give that money back to the states and let them handle their own emergency response. They have their own offices, their own leads in their emergency management.
Hey, okay, I want to come into that actually, because that actually tied in some with my kind of show notes, if you want to call it that, for tonight. But that's a great point, and you already knew where I was going to go when you said it, because you know where you're going to. That whole comment he made about FEMA, but the timeout I was doing back in, to the Zelensky thing, and what just happened at the end of the day, and Trump saying, "Okay, we're putting a freeze on this. We got to figure this shit out." And if anybody's ever watched any of the the podcasts, whether it's the loadouts or just the regular gear videos, or these CLS After Darks, one of my biggest thing is, like, we're spending so much money. Like, again, I'm a small business owner. I want to see show me the return on investment. Show me the cost benefit analysis, right? This, and this has got to be a net positive. And if you're going to say, well, we're losing right now and it's costing lots of money, but here's what we're forecasting the positive results are going to be, should we stay this course for another, 6 months, 90 days, 180 days, whatever it's going to be. No one's been able to do that. Never once has anyone laid out in my opinion, a cogent argument why we're spending billions of dollars in Ukraine now this is my opinion, for a conflict that we helped start. We are not an innocent party. You don't have to. I'm not saying I like Putin or anything. That's not it at all. Just go back and look at the history. Do your own friggin' research, right? Mm-hmm. We are not an innocent party in this, right? I'll just say Cuban Missile Crisis. If you don't know what I'm talking about, how did we respond when somebody parked nukes, in Cuba? Well, we weren't going to, one of the stipulations for the wall coming down was we weren't going to advance NATO any closer to Russia's border. Russia has a history of people invading them. They might be just a little fucking paranoid, be realistic, be an adult. But back to your Zelensky thing, what I wrote down is, like, I guess what I just want to say is, like, it's not, freezing is a good thing. And it's not that we have to reevaluate what money we give to Zelensky, because we're not really giving it to the Ukraine. We're giving it to, the graft and corruption in Ukraine. That's another thing. Go do your own research. It's just unbelievable. Prior to the war, everybody, even Democrats, talked about how corrupt Ukraine was. Where we have made so many people rich, where we have veterans sleeping homeless in the sleep. So that was going to my point, to Clinton. That's what I was saying. It's like, dude, we don't have any more money to give. The money we need, just think about North Carolina and California. That alone is going to cost us so much blood and treasure. It's not even funny.
It's not even real cash. It's like sliding your credit card with an endless limit on it. This is not even real money. We're just charging up debt that we're, going to be in debt to the world banks longer, China. And when they start saying, boy, I can get off on this one. Yeah, we start looking. I just saw something that was really interesting. It looks like China's trying to set up its own Panama Canal in Mexico. There's some place that they're looking at putting something through there where they can truck all their goods through there, where they can go around the Panama Canal. I saw that. Well, I'll send something to you on it, but it was pretty interesting. But that being said, We give the Panama Canal back when, what was it, 36,000 people, Americans died building the Panama Canal so we could get to the East Coast to the West Coast 5 days sooner or whatever, save a lot of money. We hand that thing back, and then we find out that the Chinese are down there running the locks. That's total security problem. We can't have that when our Navy goes through there. They basically know when the Navy's going through there.
And that happened under the presidency of, again, let's us all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. That would, and look, I have a huge place in my heart. I don't want death and violence. I don't want military operations. I want us to actually be like, why aren't we already colonizing the moon? Like that's where I don't want to say bend their, you get what I'm saying. It's like, man, there are so many more things in life, and and everybody's got personal problems, whether it's financial or with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a family member or somebody that you love is sick. Life is already difficult as it is. That shit, we shouldn't be talking about that stuff. So I don't know what to say to people like, oh, posturing, whatever. Like, no, we built that. That is ours. And some wannabe wishy-washy, pseudo Marxist communists. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to just, I'm not trying to slander the man. He's he's dead, and we're honoring him right now. So I feel bad of just saying that. But dude, you don't give shit away like that away for just like, how are you going to explain letting all of these people, like basically a small country in the world, another small country, take like I don't know, like take like Austria, for example, or again, maybe that's a little bit too much, but something similar, or Liechtenstein or Luxembourg or Denmark. You're going to take all those people and just plop them in America, call them America, and not even call them American citizens quite yet, and then give them all these benefits. Like, dude, you can't absorb that shit, Clint. I mean,
absolutely not. Yeah. And I mean, it's hurting us all. And that comes back to my business side of the house. When I talk to multiple companies a week, that are, struggling. Okay. They're just having to be so frugal with their money. They're not agile anymore because everybody is hurting up and down the ladder on every scale. Brand new companies that are trying to start, companies that have been out there 20 years. Everybody is in the same boat. I hear it across the board, and you start looking at everything when it comes to my business, gray goods, printing fabrics, finishing fabrics, getting that stuff stocked. Shipping is horrendous. Shipping is terrible. Gas, all this stuff. And it makes it so hard for anybody to do anything. And then we're paying these taxes. I loved hearing and how it works. I'm not at that intellect level that they're going to have an external revenue service. That's music to my ears. Let's start charging stuff. I mean, how did this before World War I, where we didn't have income tax like that? It was all made through tariffs and things that we're importing and exporting. We're just being, it really gets to the point where everybody just feels like they're enslaved to the system.
So okay, totally unplanned, but let's go in this direction because the financial burden, it's real. And we are, again, boys and girls, I've said this for a while now, there's a lot of heavy lifting to do. National security, terrorism, I mean, like natural disasters. I actually want to come back to you on that, Clint, too, but just on this financial side, so again, my cousin, so should Sasquatch, break into my house, snap my back. I am not suicidal though. Just want to say that again, make that clear one more time. But if Sasquatch kills me, so I've got a will and everything. I'm a rational adult, I'm doing the right thing. My business is going to taken over by my cousin, blah, blah, blah. And he's helping out. And so we were talking about stuff, but now he's a tradesman, right? He works in the trades, Clint. Like, he's a hardworking, I mean, seriously, he's working. I don't know if he quite gets it. I hear him talk about his work schedule and he's part of my life, and I'm like, dude, you're on combat ops. Like you're working the same type of schedule, the same type of life that I would do for like a a 3-month or a 6-month deployment, like, and you're doing it year after year, right? You know, you do get weekends off or something like that. We didn't get that, but like, you know, but he's working serious friggin' hours, but he's also really interested in the financial side of things. And so where I was really getting with this or where I was going with this is talking to him today from his perspective of what he's looking at from the financial side. He doesn't think we'll actually even get out of this within 12 months. He's given it like, yeah.
Oh no.
You think it's going to be more?
No. I mean, to deregulate the things that they need to, oh my gosh. I mean, Trump's knocking down steel targets, you know, at a blistering pace, but there are things that are just going to take time to deregulate. I mean, first we've got to get through these confirmations and get these new leaders in these departments and have them start smoking out some of the progressive minded people that are stifling growth and you know, new directions. So it's going to take a while to get those leaders in there, to get them to do their sensing sessions and look at each layer of management and go, okay, are we doing the right thing for the American people? And it's really nice seeing that.
And is it efficient? And are we doing it efficiently?
Yeah, efficiently. And I mean, you know, Vivek, I heard he was going to run for governor, and I mean, still have Elon, but as long as they start a department and start getting some smart people in there, and that is, Trump is great at picking talent, you know, so get some people on this Doge and start saving this money. It's going to save us all money. And it's funny. You never really understand that ladder between us and them is not that far. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, the people up there in North Carolina, bam, Trump's standing right here, and I have a chance to talk to him. He's a real person, you know. I mean,
I saw just real quickly on that point. I saw part of that. I didn't see the whole. You know, I had it, but I had to skip through it, and I was doing other things. But you're absolutely right. There was a couple times where, like, you know, the me wasn't sure what to do, and Trump. Come on, you know, everybody says all these negative things, but if you actually take a step back and look at the man, like, he's so cordial and so, like, he was like, the person was trying to politely show deference to him, the president, you know, and give it. And he was like, no, you talk. You're supposed to talk, not me. Like, thanks, but no, I want you to talk, you know. And that wasn't political theater. That wasn't political theater.
You've seen. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all I'm saying is, I mean, Trump was giving them their time to sit there and say, what have you seen? And again, that goes back to that transparency. He is letting people on the ground say what they want to say. It was nice. It was refreshing.
Okay. Well, I want to come back to that because that's what you brought up earlier when you said, you know, you made that comment, you know, we can't even handle one problem in our own country right now. And boys and girls, this is the United States of America. That is, unfortunately, like, you can deny it, you can keep your head in the sand, but the reality on the ground is indicating that we are having problems with that. So I want to come back to that because that goes into a very serious issue, because I personally believe it's not that we can't handle one problem or more than one problem. We've been set up so we can't do it. We've been set up for failure because evil doesn't want us to be that beacon on the hill. Evil doesn't want us to be good neighbors and good parents and, you know, and believe in whatever God you want to believe. You know, that's still too much community. We don't want that. Evil wants us to be beholden to the government. And I think that's what we just experienced. I really do. I don't know, Clint, before I go into my next little thing, do you see it that way? I think that's the bullet we just dodged.
Yeah, it's funny because the old saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And a lot of these people truly think that they're doing the right thing, you know, but I think they're overdoing it. You know, I think that fire chiefs and mayors and governors, it all has to come back to somebody. I mean, I was blown away when they started looking into this mayor of Los Angeles and her background. Holy smokes. How did you get in office? Having a Marxist freaking Cuban, you know, you just sit there.
Hey, look, John Brennan. How did John Brennan be the director of the CIA? He is an actual member of the Communist Party.
It's amazing when you really
Dude, that right there, that's and it's not just the CIA. Whether it's your SF-86, that's the form in the military to get a clearance, dude. Anywhere in any entity, any organization that requires a security clearance, and if you were a member of the Communist Party, you don't get your clearance. And yet he was the director of the mother effing CIA.
The thing that blew me away is how God, what is her name? The mayor of Los Angeles, Bass.
Yeah.
What my first question was, what were you doing in Africa? You know, were you on a vacation? Because if you were on a vacation, who did you delegate in your absence to be the mayor?
The guy who is under an FBI investigation for calling in a fake bomb threat so they wouldn't have to go back to the office and keep working. That's who was in charge while she was gone. I'm not fucking around. That is her chain of command. That's a real thing.
I mean, when you just start peeling the layers of the onion, your eyes start to water in tears with how effed up those people were out there. I mean, with them not filling any of these reservoirs, and they've got money and they're reallocating it to stuff. They were running a thing to the signatures to get her recalled.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that everybody out there should be going, this shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't
have. They're actually trying to do something like that with Newsom as well. Or it's just beginning, right? But there's talk about that as well.
And you could call that lawfare, but that's your constituents that's doing that.
Yeah, that's not lawfare. I wouldn't call
lawfare
is like bullshit.
Some people would call that lawfare, but that's not lawfare when your constituents are the one trying to recall you because you're incompetent.
Yeah. No, that's the way a constitutional republic is supposed to work, in my opinion.
Yep.
Lawfare is some, guy who's, married to the person who's trying to take your business, who's taking you to court for doing the same thing that everybody else has done. That guy from Shark Tank even said it. O'Leary, I think is his name. Sorry, whoever you are, sir. But he's pretty smart actually. And he's like, dude, every real estate organization, if we're going to hold Trump guilty of this, you've just destroyed New York City. Literally, because then if it applies to him, then it applies to everybody else. It's never applied to anyone else. Why does it apply to Trump? Going back to something you said earlier,
Amazing that they cannot even manage their own city, and they're off on a vacation and haven't really delegated anybody else to be in charge that's competent, that can handle a problem. I'll tell you, I just was astonished when she got off the airplane and just stood there like a beaten dog in a corner and couldn't even answer a question, was silent because of the embarrassment of the position that she was in.
If she seriously in that walkway, from the plane to where she was going, in that moment, if she would have just looked at the camera and said, "Hey, look, guys, I've fucked up. Somehow I've fucked up." So even that's still a punt. That's still not taking responsibility. But if she said, "I was over in Africa on a, again, there's no excuse for a mayor of any city in America to ever, whatever, but." So she spins it. She could have spun it. Hey, look, I fucked up. I was overseas. I'm back here now, though. And you're right. I'm 24 hours behind the power curve. So I know you want questions, but I've got to get back to, town hall, meet with my staff so we can get our hands around this. If she would have even just said that, I would have given her some props.
That's like leadership 101 through every level of the military. Somebody tells you to do something, you got to act. It may not even be the right answer, but you got to do something. And for her to stand there and say nothing was speaking volumes.
Yep. It's just the same as that guy saying, thanks, Joe Biden. I'm not going back to Haiti. Fuck Trump. That if they don't have that into some type of infomercial advertisement thing by the middle of next week, or in the meme world, the memeverse. I don't know if that's a real word. Yeah. If it's not, I created it here tonight on the 24th of January, 2025 at 1949 Central Standard Time. The memeverse. Yeah, I went all royalties. It's already trademarked. But seriously, in the memeverse, I mean, that's already all over the place. And Rick and I were talking earlier, you couldn't have handed a better, like if this would have been a political, like, like if this would have been before the elections, you couldn't have handed anybody a better soundbite. Like, yeah, this guy's been arrested 17 times for things we know of. How much other stuff he's done? And like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's hotlines for all this kind of stuff. And I mean, one of those neighbors that was up there when this guy was arrested, they were like, thank you, because these criminals are running around. It's not like nobody knows what's happening. There's people seeing this stuff. If you got somebody that doesn't speak English in there and they're doing something illegal every day and they're threatening somebody on the street, see something, say something, but
okay, right there. Because we're coming up to 2 hours, so I'm kind of just try to shape the next 10 20 minutes. So how about that right there? What are we going to do? And I'll get into what I want to do next, but let me ask you first. So what do we do about the people, like what you just said, who lie and like, oh, that's just misinformation, disinformation, that's conspiracy theory, and then 4 days later it's the truth, like the Tren de Aragua guys, in Colorado, the mayor saying this is bullshit and everybody's saying this isn't happening. And then the proof is there.
Yeah.
Is there something, what can we do this time around besides vote those mother effers out of office, which, or maybe we should petition them. What do you think we can do? Because that's got to be combated as well, in my opinion.
I think we talked about this before. It's a precedence that starts at the very top. When you have a president that you're producing evidence and you can see that it's being ignored, and you very well see the indicators that we have a cabal running the country, and people they have questions, but nobody will ask those questions, and they're saying, here's some evidence. Why is nobody on this? And that comes all the way down to Alvin Bragg and freaking Fannie Willis and these prosecutors that are the cracks are starting to develop. Nathan Wade, at every level. And you're seeing these layers of leadership all the way down to the local sheriffs and the patrol officers doing the right thing. When those people are in fear of their jobs for doing their job, the new precedence is being set. If you don't agree with our agenda, you better keep your mouth shut or you won't have a job. You'll be the one in trouble, not the illegal, whatever the person that's doing something illegal.
So I don't want anyone to misconstrue this, and I don't want any douchebag in DHS or any part of the government to misconstrue this. This is my opinion. When I talked to Patrick and we're talking about this, just like we did tonight, I mean, like, come on, boys and girls, you can hear it in his voice. You don't have to be Batman, the world's greatest detective, to figure out there is a sea change, kind of like you're saying. And the sea change part of it is like, if the guy or gal above me, whatever that, wherever that is on that command structure, if they start going against these, EOs and the rule of law, I actually can call them out on it now. Like, whistleblowers, under the last administration, they were punished. They lost jobs. They lost career. I mean, that whole whistleblower thing, again, if you want an example of totalitarianism in America, just look at the last 4 years and then look at, go back a few more years and look at eight-year period then. Like, that's my humble opinion. And I'm already hearing it. And, Clinton P. Rick a week ago kind of started. And that's why tonight's episode is called A New Hope. Like, you guys are seeing a little bit more positively. And I actually, now it's been a week and talking to other people, I'm kind of like, a new hope. I'm like, maybe we just escaped. Darth Vader almost got us and caught us and got the plans for the Death Star back. But we're not out of the woods yet, but we made it through that ambush. So I just wanted to throw that back to you, because I think you're right. I think we're starting to see people, you're almost hearing it in their voices. And I'm not going to pull it up, but I was going to pull up some stuff. But like, when I did a Google search on something, you can see the old, evil, the old establishment still fighting, God bless them. They're not giving up, twisting the headlines, Holman whines about, like, hang on, Holman is whining about somebody leaking classified information. That's the title of the news article you're going to write. Like, yeah.
The spin. Gotta love that spin. But you have to be a critical enough thinker to be able to see that spin and say, oh, no, that's, you're looking at this completely the wrong way. The reason that he's saying that, we know why, so I mean, and I think that the great thing is if Schiff and these people are trying to hold up confirmation hearings, it's futile. It's futile at this point because we're going in a good direction. We have the mandate. We have the right people to put in the right jobs. It's just a matter of time. You can struggle, but you can run, but you can't hide. And the shifty shifts of the world, they've already played out their hand. They already know. It's like, shut up. We already know you've been censured for lying.
Well, and I loved how Bondi called him out on that. And threw that in his face. So I love your comment because I think these actions that they're taking, it is disruptive. It's not in the benefit of the country. It's not for the good of the country. It's showing themselves to be the petulant, spoiled, evil people that they really are. That's all. To me, and I hope the rest of America and the rest of the world sees that. Adam Schiff holding up, dude, he's just doing it out of spite because she pointed out that he's been censored. And censor in America, in our means you've been found guilty of lying to Congress. And he's sitting here talking about, it's like, oh, you mean like you? Like you? Oh, like in what? And this has got to also change, Clinton. See, I'm kind of getting excited. Why is he even on that committee? Why is he seriously? Yeah. Great. You're the senator. The people of your state want you to be a senator. Fine. But you've been censored. You've been a proven liar. You don't have America's interests at heart. Whether, again, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I'd say the same thing about Dan Crenshaw. Whatever he's on, nope, you are just nothing but a dude in the rotunda. That's all you are now, plain and simple. Yeah. Matter of fact, actually, he should be investigated too. He just admitted that he's using his political position for personal gain. He was bitching about it. Even just talking about a cost of living. Well, we haven't even had a cost of living allowance. You call it a COLA. That's what the vernacular. Well, we haven't even had a COLA in like 5 years. Well, okay. That means the whole time during Biden, all you government people didn't get shit because like Biden, you guys are all milking it, behind the scenes. You're all millionaires. The fuck are you talking about? You make $117,000 a year. How are you guys all millionaires on that side? What the hell, man? DC is an expensive place to live. I live there. You can't do that. You don't go from being just a normal dude.
People are getting a lot of information and they're starting to become way more informed to the games that are being played. This used to be a far off place that you didn't know what anybody was doing. But the way that this internet's running and the information and the great people that are out there doing, discovery and investigative journalism where they're actually putting out this is what I found, the facts, and they're putting this stuff out and they're smoking these people out and they're starting to embarrass them. And it gets, when they starting stock trading online companies that follow Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi, whatever they're trading in, I'm trading in, because we've already figured this game out. They're making a lot of money because they know what's up. It's smoking these people out.
And it's funny that you just said that. Get back to the financial thing. I think I saw this 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and it looked at the top, senators, politicians.
That's right.
They're like who are just smoking the S&P, right? Like they should go and work on Wall Street. Well, they can't work on Wall Street. The only reason they're smoking is because they've got the insider, knowledge, right? And they're leveraging it for their own use. But no one beats it by 15 points, let alone 30 points. And here's Pelosi's
200%, positive trades or whatever. They shouldn't be, doing that. They should be in Las Vegas pulling a rabbit out of a hat or cutting a lady in half, because they're magic.
Or jumping a motorcycle over the Grand Canyon, Now that was badass, even though Evel Knievel came up way short on that. Hey, here's what I'd like to do. I do want to get back into, how about this? I want to give everybody a quick shout out. We had some really good comments, and boys and girls, I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying it's hard. I'm having a drink, trying to have a good conversation. I hope you guys find it, educational or entertaining or both, edutainment as it's called. I'm trying to, look at Clinton, read his body language to better understand what he's saying, to maybe, come up with a question, I'm sure he's doing vice versa. I know Clint makes notes too, just like me. I know Clinton is like, he's writing shit down. So I don't get to see all of the comments, but I'm going to kind of whiz through them real quickly. And then I want to bring it over to Clint. And then Clint, I don't know, while I do these, think about where you want to go for the next 10 minutes and we'll wrap it up.
Well, I got a perfect one.
Okay, here we go. So we got Learn Me Something saying what's really refreshing is the discussion. This was reference to Trump in North Carolina. He's talking directly with the people, whereas Biden, Harris dodge all questions. Yeah, those guys never went there and talked to anybody. Never. Gene from across the pond. I was hoping Gene or somebody from Europe would say something about the no-go zones. We have Muslim-controlled parts of London where people are not welcome and the police have to ask to go in. Yeah, Roger. And then AVV, an American here in America. Well, obviously American. I meant to say, I almost said where I think I know where he's from, but that's not my business. I won't say it. So we do have stochastic terrorism in the cities in the United States today. If I understand you correctly, that's basically, you're kind of saying that we have events that take place in our country that we don't want to talk about or we don't want to admit. I think I'm reading you right, AVV. But it is still taking place. And that kind of goes back to that. Then he's giving Gene a quick shout out. And the police and the government seem to cover up. And then I like the quotes on the Asians. Yeah. Like, and if you're tracking these stories, you know what he's saying there. That's not anything in remotely racist or anything. That's just well done, AVV. Good comment right there. Gene, if you are a non-crayon eater, then go home. There's just too much crayon eating stuff going on in this channel recently. We gotta rein that in, dude. I'm not a Marine. You're not a Marine. Why is it all about eating crayons? I guess maybe we just all think it's funny, the Marine Corps fixation on eating crayons. And then speaking of a Marine, we got JD, the accessorizer, aka Gimli, reporting for duty from his HVAC van. Hey, brother, a real America. We're all sitting here having a drink and relaxing, and there's a guy out there who's working his ass off and still showing up for the show. God bless you, Gimli. And then we got Phil saying Ron Paul for 2028. Hey, brother, I think he needs to be on some ticket someplace. They ain't wrong, in my humble opinion. Then the Husky Bunch. Now, this is the second time we've seen you, sir or ma'am, whoever you are. I do like the picture of your poochies. And Husky Bunch says crayons taste like purple. See, we just too much crayon eating stuff going on here. I don't even know. Is that code word? Is that like talking about pizzas and hot dogs? I don't want to be pizza gated. None of that stuff. And then final comment, and I'm going to bring it over to you, Clint. Gene, we have the same in the UK. Support other countries and people being shipped into the UK all the time. Our old, young, and vets, even shops need help, but get nothing. They get, other people get food, money, housing. In America, you get a freaking ATM card with like $2,000. Dude, I'm a small business owner. Clint, we're all working our asses off. There's real people.
There was somebody a while back that found a EBT card or whatever they're calling them things that they give the cards out, and they've got like a $14,000 credit limit on them, and they got like $4,000 cash or $3,000 cash for food and essentials, housing or whatever. And it's like, my God, and doing the disaster contracting that I've done in the past, there are certain places that I still drive through to today that stuff has happened 4 years ago, 7 years ago, and these places are still destroyed. I'll tell you what, I was.
Wow. Are you serious? Are you serious? That is shocking.
Oh, there's a place that I was driving into. I had to drop off some security fencing, and I was driving into New Orleans. And the way that I got down there was taking me through a landfill area. I drove through a place where every rusted out car from New Orleans was in there in this landfill, and they were stacked like it was keeping King Kong in there. It was incredible. It was like a wall of rusted out cars. And then there was lines of debris trucks bringing stuff in there, dropping it off. This has been a while back now, but if you drive through Lake Charles, you drive through Mexico Beach, you go down to Fort Myers, you go up to Hazard.
The Rust Belt.
Kentucky, any one of these disaster areas where you've been through, just like where Trump went today or out to the Palisades, these places are destroyed. And the insurance companies are pulling out because they don't want to pay out, and the politicians are setting these conditions to destroy these areas. And then it's like I'm older, so I mean, I hate to say this, but older people get a gash on their arm and it won't heal. That is what our country is becoming. We get these gashes and they won't heal. These major
or hang on, in all fairness, or we knowingly refuse to apply proper medical care. Like, so
Yeah.
I said the Rust Belt when you were talking, but I realized actually it kind of fits, but it's from a different perspective. Look at like
economic.
I have to drive from DC to Illinois or Minnesota quite a bit. So, if you look at, there's only a couple different routes. So I'm driving through Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, that kind of stuff. Dude, you would just see areas. And then, down in the Southeast, I'd spent a lot of time driving through those areas too. Like you would drive through towns where like, there's literally no shit fucking vines and stuff growing on buildings. It's just, it's like a weird ghost town. Abandoned.
That's funny you should say that, Mark, because it doesn't matter what small town you drive through these days. And I make a trek back and forth from South Dakota almost every year. I drive through every small town, and if it isn't the fact that our economy has been mismanaged, all of our factories have been sent off to other countries.
Yep.
And every community, there's usually some kind of a factory that was there that is dilapidated and shut down, and the community around it looks completely run down because we've run off all of our business. And I always love seeing, we see the brick stuff happening, and then within days Trump has 600 billion coming in from Japan. He has 600 billion coming in from Saudi Arabia. These people are saying, we're going to invest in the United States. We're bringing money back, and he ain't playing. The World Economic Forum, he was on the other day virtually. He was calling them out. We ain't doing that stuff here no more. It's just the game's changed. Calling them out. And a Bank of America for their misdeeds. He has just boom, 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 boom. It's just one thing right after another, and it's delightful to see it.
And I think he's always been, because, back in the day, again, he was Hollywood. Everybody loved him, right? He was like, if you were doing a movie and if Donald Trump did a cameo in your movie, that was all the rage, the wrestling stuff, everybody loved him and wanted to be around Donald Trump. So to your point, what I really like, as you're kind of just saying that, he really is. He's not fucking around, and everybody knows it. But you don't like it? Yeah, fuck you. We'll tariff you. Yeah, we're gonna do it. Yeah, whatever. Boom. I mean,
there's a consolidation of evildoers in the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum. There's some real evildoers in there.
Yeah.
And you're seeing Putin come to the table, Xi Jinping come to the table, Crown Prince come to the table. These countries are going, this guy ain't playing around. We know him.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, I'm trying to find that way. It's like, this isn't just the Hollywood bullshit stuff. Like, this man really does have charisma, power. There is something behind him. And look, whoever you are watching this, and if you disagree, go ahead and disagree. My only question is, have you ever talked to Donald Trump or been around him or had discussions with him, shook his hand? I haven't either. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But judging everything on the surface level, like what Clint is just saying, the people who do talk to him and have met him and shook his hand, they're kind of lining up. And so there is a new sheriff in town. There is something about this man. Something does seem to have changed. And I hope for the better. Seriously, I really mean it.
The collective consciousness, man. There was a majority of people that have had a collective sigh of relief, and when you asked me right when we was having that last diatribe there, well, let's go on to this one. I love seeing right now that I think that these pardons that Biden put out may not be constitutional.
Oh yeah. Dude,
so,
okay, I don't want to. I'm sorry. I just called you dude, and I hate saying that. I apologize. If I ever call anybody dude, if you ever talk to me on the phone, if you're calling up or if you're a guest,
I don't mind.
Dude, no, I'm once we're done, my old man body will try to knock out 20 push-ups in penance for like calling Clinton dude here tonight. I don't like saying that. So, but Clint, to your point, I mean, you just nailed it. I mean, like seriously. And then Gene kind of even just kind of like made a comment that chimed on. I don't know if you saw the comment. You want me here? I'll bring it back up.
I saw it.
Yeah, but it kind of goes. You want to expound upon it here? Let's just kind of start wrapping this up. Let me give you the next 10 minutes. Let's, let's not make it 2.5 hours tonight. I mean, it's Friday. It's fun. I mean, I could do it, but I hate to tell you, boys and girls, we'll do it for another 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll end. And then Clint and I will have to go to the bathroom, and then we'll do our after action review, and that'll probably take another hour on the phone. So, all right,
solving the problems of the world.
That's right. One Fauci at a time. We'll solve the problems.
Oh man, my initial thoughts was how can you give a pardon to somebody that hasn't done anything wrong yet? I mean, this is that scratch sniff test. This doesn't make sense. When a lot of these people smarter than me are going, this is basically admitting guilt. And if it's admitting guilt and now you don't have the Fifth Amendment, and we're going to drag your ass in here in front of a Congress, and now we're going to start asking some questions, and if you don't answer those questions or you're evasive, now you've just committed a new crime. And that's one direction. That's just one direction. Are you even supposed to have a pardon at all anyway?
Well, hey, don't go in the next direction. Just on that one right there. Like, you can see me smiling. Seriously, I feel like a kid at Christmas, man. I hope you're absolutely right, because I'm not a huge but I pay attention. Redbeard, really is a constitutionally based individual, and everything I've seen, like, hey man, okay, great. You just have a pardon, but you can't plead the fifth now. Like, when we bring it in for discovery, and if you don't tell the truth,
I love it when they pull out the freaking flagged money transfers and say, what is this? And they go, I don't know what that is. At perjury, or not perjury.
You're not getting off the hook
because you don't know what it is. Yes, you do know what it is. And we just showed you this. Now, why is this in your wife's bank account? And now you're committing new crimes.
Yep.
On top of the fact that you had not admitted any of this, so why did you need a pardon? I mean, it's so, and as the last few hours from Friday to Monday were elapsing, and you're seeing these pardons happen, Miley and Fauci and God, who else am I missing? There's so many.
Everybody on the J6 community, everybody in his family.
What we were talking about. Yeah, okay, he's spending an awful lot of time in the shred room. Why is he in there? Somebody's going to ask some questions, and so seeing this, and then Trump and them come out and get in the motorcade to go over to the Capitol, do the inauguration, and boom, the entire Biden family has pardons in the T-minus less than an hour. It's like, does this not scream that it was set up, that you did this exactly this way for a reason? Yep. But I do like hearing that now that there's a federal circuit court that is saying these aren't even constitutional to begin with. And I'm telling you what, right now, I would have paid top dollar and had my box of popcorn to heard whatever the hell it was, but that Trump's son, Barron, said to freaking Biden, because it stifled him. Whatever it was, I've seen.
Okay. Slow down.
The videos.
Okay, you got to tell this story separately, because you got to set the stage at the inauguration.
Yeah.
So before you do it, this is my final comment here for the night. I really hope we are witnessing, Star Trek chess, like 10-dimensional chess going on here. Which everybody said, is Trump, is he an idiot or is he a genius? I'm not sure. The left always has me confused on which one he is. Yeah. But I hope it is true, because great, you got all you mother effers just got pardons. But guess what? Now you if I compel you as a witness, you're going to have to tell the truth. And if you don't, as you said, so I took your ambush and I did a reverse ambush on you, and now you're set up and you're going to have to do this. And if you don't, well, then I got you again. Maybe it'll be a lesser crime, but look, justice will be served. So I just want to kind of say that.
They don't.
That makes me smile. That's going to have to get played out here. But honestly, I think that with less than 30 days, we have to see some kind of like real forward progress or conclusion on this pardon issue. Because the other one is, and I smarter people than me who, I'm going to screw up her name, so I'm not going to say it. She's a really good constitutional scholar. I follow her over on Instagram. Chris Ann Hall. Mm-hmm. She's smart. She's a lawyer. This is her field. But like, to your point, there's no constitutional providence, legally speaking, providence for you to preemptively pardon somebody. That's not how pardons work. So, yeah, we might find people who think they are off the hook, and then they have to be compelled to testify, and then only to find out, yeah, your pardon was meaningless, and now you're guilty of that other larger crime too. So, yeah. All right, wherever you want to go, Clint, on that, or back to where you were going.
All I was saying was, I mean, you can't deny your lying eyes. I mean, Barron Trump said something to Biden that put him into the download bar was stuck, I mean, you could see it in his eyes. And it could have been anyone. He could have called him an asshole. I mean, he could have went up there and said, your time is over. I've heard, you forgot to pardon yourself. Who knows what it was exactly what it was that he said to him, but there is no doubt he said something to that man that vapor locked his brain.
Hey, I just wrote it down real quickly. Let me ask you, so there was another incident, whose funeral was it? Was it Nancy? This happened during the Biden administration, or was it the Trump administration? God dang it. There was another state funeral. I don't know if it was Nancy Reagan. I can't remember what it was, but then you see Jeb Bush, the Bush, George Bush, Pelosi, Clinton. You see these guys being given envelopes, and you see their reactions on camera. And we've never found out what those envelopes were, what that card was. But you see by some of the reactions, some of them were better, like stayed stone cold killer, and others you can see a visual, like you said. Some of them, the bar just froze and they didn't know what to do. Others you see like, what the fuck? And they're looking around like there was an assassin who just sent them. There was something.
I vaguely remember that. It seems like I remember it, but I don't remember what it was.
But that Barron Trump that you're talking about, that seems to me that, and because it reminded me of that situation. So maybe there is a different type of war that we don't even know about because we're just, we're the peons, right? We're the plebs. Maybe good is even at a higher level is fighting evil on a very serious level. I want to hope so. I want to believe so.
Barron Trump definitely has a good reason to have a high dislike for everybody in this past administration. I mean, it's still amazing to me that he came so close to taking a shot to the head. I mean, like a lights out shot, and that we still don't know anything about it. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
And I mean, if they're gonna
just before you go, don't go away from that. Seriously, for everybody watching, if you're here with us live, or if you watch this video later, God bless you for being with us for two some hours. But that's a great point. Just take a step back and ask yourself, why did the media, like somebody tried to kill the president of the United States and the media didn't care about it and didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to investigate. There's people that are actually out there claiming right now that it wasn't, that the whole chain of events isn't as it's being claimed by the Secret Service and the FBI. That, because I think they're trying to claim that it was, this guy took him out. Go do your own research. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. This guy was talking to, he got fired. Well, he didn't get fired. They canceled his program on Fox. What's his name? Come on, everybody knows him. He's super popular. What's that?
You and me are both having some brain fog on something.
Yeah, well, I'm just not really. I just don't care about names of these.
Yeah.
But Tucker Carlson. Carlson. Tucker Carlson just interviewed somebody earlier this week, and this guy, again, with the forensic data, the audit, again, with the things we can do with technology, and then talking to the individuals involved, is bringing some questions even into the narrative that we're being fed for Pennsylvania, to your point, Clint. So, but at the end of the day, how is it that we don't know anything? And the Secret Service has yet to make a public statement, nothing.
I'll tell you, there's I hate to say, because I don't really particularly care for his politics, but I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan. I love Tarantino movies, man. And that Colonel in Inglourious Bastards, when he does the giggle and he goes, "Woo, I love rumors," and because they a lot of times you can get a lot of information out of rumors, or speculations or these conspiracies. Not all of that information is bad, So, I mean, you start looking at stuff. And when you look at this shooter up there in Pennsylvania with Trump, I mean, they found his phones. They found overseas bank accounts. What's up? This dude's on a BlackRock commercial, and then he's down there doing that. And then the other dude that's down by the golf course, he's also knows freaking BlackRock. And you just start peeling the layers of the onion away, and you start welling up, because there's a lot of stinky stuff going on. And it's like, we never get to the bottom of it. And I mean, I'm going to be flabbergasted if they let out the, Martin Luther King, JFK, RFK. If all this stuff, they start declassifying this stuff, it's going to be interesting. And
I this is where I'm still a little black-pilled. I unfortunately believe, though, kind of back to the point, you were kind of making earlier, and Patrick, we still have elements, within the government, within these organizations that are just, they're not going to give up. They're not going to go quietly into the night. And right now, again, so when we were talking about burn bags, no offense to anybody, but if you've been in the military or these organizations, your classified material is destructed in certain ways to make sure it's destructed.
I want you to focus on this real quick, because
yeah. So again, just go back to, what we're talking about. Look at who's been burning, whose burn bag output is suddenly out of the roof, right?
Yeah.
And then on the RFK, MLK, and JFK, it needs to happen, but I think there are probably already individuals within those entities. Well, and maybe they've even had, the last 4 years do it. I think a lot of information is destroyed, just like the January 6th committee destroyed all their evidence.
Yeah.
How and why would you ever do that? If you have a solid case, this is the worst thing since Pearl Harbor. This is the worst thing since 9/11. Why would you destroy all the evidence that you're building your case on? Because it's not evidence. There is no evidence.
Like I said, I hope that they have completely effed up this whole giving these people these pardons. I really do. I hope they find out, man, oh boy, we can drag all these people in here, and these things ain't worth the paper that they're written on, and you need to come answer some questions.
Hey, I just got to throw this. So anyway, Gene just gave you, did you see that? He says you're getting ready. You're getting ready for your role in your next Men in Black. But Gene had another good one here. Gene's on a roll, but he's being more polite tonight than he's been on some other nights. Oh, here's
for me.
Okay, well, don't look into the film here as Clint does that. But I do like this comment from Gene. All you guys in the chat, you can see the chat. I'm trying to get way better in the chat over here on the CLS After Dark, reading a lot more of it. Your guys' comments and everything, help shape the conversation, make it funny. And this comment right here is pretty hilarious. So this was his comment when you were talking about what did Barron Trump say to him?
Yeah.
This is Gene's guess. Don't sniff my hair, you stumbler. That's what he's. I think he actually probably said something a little bit more, R or X rated than that, personally.
Yeah, I would. Like I said, I'd pay top dollar if I could have been standing right there with my box of popcorn. That would have been good, because right after he swore in, he got to say something that he wanted to say to that guy. Stifled him. I mean, it was, and the best part was when he walked back over there to Melania and he did that turn around just to see what the effect was, and his download bar was still spinning.
I don't, obviously I have no idea who Barron Trump is. I don't know anybody I don't know any of those people, but whether by, don't be jealous. I mean, like, you can say he's being born into a dynasty. I mean, well, yeah, he is. I mean, his dad is a fucking billionaire. His mother is Melania. I mean, seriously, thank you for a first lady to bring classy fashion back to the Oval Office. She did it the first term, and she just did it during the inauguration as well. I know people are making jokes about that hat. It was like so Trump couldn't kiss her but like she just looks so. That's kind of what you want. I mean, she just looks classy. She might be a horrible person, but she doesn't look it. I mean, on the outside.
I mean, from the last Trump administration, it sounds like she did a lot of good stuff with her position. Not only she looked classy, everybody talked about was JFK's wife, Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
She's a looker. She's regal.
There it is. Great word.
No,
regal.
she looks like a great first lady, and I think she does good with it. But whether that, I love to think that the outfit was picked specifically, for a reason, a message that she was trying to send or whatever. But either way, doesn't matter to me. I'm just glad he's back in office right now, because I know there's nothing that is telling me in the core of my being that this 4 years hasn't been just everything that could have been bad for this country was done.
Well, and look, seriously, I'm kind of coming over to your guys' side. I'm that's why we titled A New Hope. I'm kind of feeling like maybe there's hope. Look, I've never seen these people, and I read news all the time, but like even just during the inauguration and seeing JD Vance's old lady and how she handled the kids and stuff, they're totally normal. But she looks so, again, I love your choice of the words regal, so fitting the part. So again, she might, but that kid, other people would have spanked him, and maybe she almost did spank him. I don't freaking know, but like how she handled it, the class, the decorum, how we are not dynastic. We are not a monarchy or anything, but but here's the deal. I want my leaders to actually look and play that part. I don't want to have people with vasectomies and wearing drag on the White House lawn. That is not the place for that. You
don't want a guy walking around in shorts, flip flops, and a freaking Carhartt hoodie.
Hang on. Now that is, maybe there needs to be one exception to every rule, because I think that, look, if you've ever had a stroke before, it does things to your thought process, your brain, not maybe your thought process. I think in his case, it may have done something to his thought process, because he might be one of the first Democrats who really comes over to the Republican side. That guy is like one of the most common sense people in the Democratic Party right now. And he's wearing Carhartt hoodies and flip-flops to an inauguration event.
God.
Yeah, there's no decorum, but at the end of the day, all right, that's here it is, Clint. He's the crazy uncle. He's the crazy relative, but he was not a bad guy,
Shitter's full.
Holy crap. All right. Hey, we're almost at 2.5 hours. Here we go. Just real quickly. I think there was one or two questions. Well, we already did the film star for the Men in Black. I think people were helping me with the Tucker. Okay. That's what it is. Oh, then we said that don't sniff my hair, stumbly. Okay. We left off with that. Then we got a couple comments from John here at the end. Media try to say he fell. Good Lord. Yeah. The bullshit. And then John saying with the Tucker Carlson, Gene, I'm coming for you, old man. Maybe Barron said that right there, Clint. Yeah. I'm coming for you, old man. Maybe that's like a John Wick thing. You killed my dog, maybe something like that.
Hey, they're already talking about Barron taking on the politics. So, I mean, you never know.
Yep. And now, John, I hate to say this, but we're going to save this for another conversation, because I do want to have that as one of our, hey, boys and girls, leave suggestions. If there's a topic or something you want to see specifically in these after darks, let me know, because it takes time to coordinate all this. I mean, Clint, I can't say this enough. And even Patrick earlier today was, I just can't make it. And then I kind of guilted him into it, because he knows so much about that area. And I was like, and he was talking to me. I'm like, dude, this like Clint sent me some pictures the other day. I was like, what did I do to piss you off? Why would you do that to me? These are such great pictures. Can I not share them? Patrick was doing that to me, talking about stuff. I'm like, dude, you got to come on. Because you telling me this with you not coming on, is almost like, saying, hey, Mark, you're an asshole. So I'm going to tell you some stuff. But anyway, it's a joke. But what John is saying here, right here, I want to do this. I want to have that as a subject for its own After Dark. But you boys and girls, if you've got a conversation or a topic you want us to talk about, you need to let me know, because what I was just really going with my bad joke is it takes time to coordinate and get everybody together. And, everybody's got, these men and women have their own lives. They're not getting paid to be here. I wish I could pay them, but I'm just a poor small business owner. I'm not flying around in a helicopter or driving a new $80,000 truck that I want. Kind of hint on something, Clint, but
Yeah, I can't wait to put that information out. So
I'm sorry.
It'll be public soon.
Yeah, you would have thought I was better at keeping secrets, CIA guy.
Oh, you held back.
I so want to. Okay, I'm shutting up. Clint, take us out. Give us whatever you want to, wherever you want to go for however long you want. Let's just don't do it for another hour. But
I'll keep it short. I'll keep it short. We've been on for a while. All I'm saying, Mark and I correspond. We talk on the phone on the side when we're not doing this live, and everybody else is in on the conversation. I've the indicators that I assimilate and I watch and try to figure out the lay of the land and where things are going. And like I said, putting those puzzle pieces together and try to see if we're going in a good direction or we're going in a bad direction, and I just have felt, I felt prior to the election that we were going in the right direction. I think that there's just enough people. They talk about that 15% right down the middle. You got your hard left and your hard right, but there's that little bit down the center that you have to convince them which side they're going on. And the indicators were that they have made it so bad, they've pushed a large portion of those people over the finish line to bring them over to the side to elect Trump. He got elected. I mean, it was called early. It was very surprising, because even I, at 1:30 in the morning or whatever, like, we're calling this for Trump. And I was like, I thought I was going to be up all night, so it was called for Trump.
You sent me a text, actually. I think I was like, yeah, that was awesome.
So
I remember that. Yep.
We pulled all the swing states, popular vote, electoral college, bam, bam, bam. I definitely wanted to see him minimize his public engagements up in the time until the electoral count was counted and he was sworn on the 20th. And we have cruised through all of that. And now we are seeing the effects of that election. And he is all over the place doing all kinds of stuff. Good things are happening daily. We have a lot to look forward to. I think evil has been beaten back, into its dark caves, and the light is smoking a lot of these evildoers out. It's smoking them out. And the few last hold-ons, like the Adam Schiffs and the Kissingers and, some of these bad people, nobody's listening to them. They're like, you've lost you've lost the narrative. You've lost the initiative. So we're in a good direction. I see things. We're going to be months into this, and things are going to get deregulated. The stores are going to come back. Business is going to come back. Money's coming back to be invested, and we're going to be on a good path. So I feel real optimistic, and I think that's mostly what I talked to Mark about. And Mark is even saying now, you may have got me out of my downward thought process. So.
Well, I'm still gonna I'm gonna conclude it though with still stay, as Jack over at Black Scout says, still stay frosty, strapped, and dangerous, right? Because there's still some heavy lifting. But Clint's right. Clint has because again, as you look at the data, I listen to Clint. We have a conversation, and then I go and I take in a bunch of data. I'm like, oh, that's a data point that affirms what he just said. That's another data point that affirms what he said. But I'm still gonna be that okay. I'm like that. What's the word, Clint? Like I'm that pessimistically optimistic or something. I don't know how to say that, but
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But we're not out of the woods yet.
Optimistically cautious.
I'm optimistically cautious. There you go.
But I mean, that most people that probably are like-minded like us, that have spent time in the military and law enforcement, stuff like that, we live in that heightened sense of awareness. That's where we like to be. We're comfortable there. So you're always looking for the indicators. You're assessing and trying to figure out what is the best next step. And whether that's in our businesses, our home life, watching what's going on with the economy, our money, the government, we do that. And that's how you build critical thinking. And it's so important for us all to be that, because they want to dumb us down.
Well, yeah, no doubt about it. All right. I don't know if that was, it can be construed as your final comments, but
that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
I kind of want to give you one more chance to make one last, kind of just word of advice, word of wisdom. Like, I don't want to speak for a couple other people, but P. Rick, he did it in his, like everybody just, and that's my thing. Like, again, even being black pilled or whatever, like I'm cautiously, as Clint just pointed out, I'm cautiously optimistic, right? Like things are looking good, but I know that at any moment shit can still break bad. There's so many things that still aren't being talked about. Well, because there's only so much you can do. And well, how many hours is this? I mean, it's like, 96 hours? I mean, roughly speaking, Clint, since,
yep.
Dude, they've been kicking ass for 96 hours, but there's a lot of stuff that still has to get done. One of my biggest fears is still the threat towards the presidency, the threat to the homeland. And then part of that threat to the homeland is our financial institutions. So maybe we just, keep revisiting this comment, like, this, maybe this is a recurring conversation, like once every 2 or 3 months, maybe we do our own there it is. The State of the Union with Clint from Nemesis. I kind of like that. That's not bad.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, you got to keep an eye on the opposition.
All right,
or you want to call them the resistance, whatever, the ones that want to see the United States fundamentally changed in a bad direction.
Well, if you don't mind, just expound on that and then make that be your kind of outro last things, and we'll wrap it up. Like, I know what you're talking about, but maybe feed people just a little bit more about what you're saying there.
No, I mean, they literally vocally said that they were going to start building a shadow government. They literally put that out, so I mean, you have that segment of people that don't like the way the United States is, or they think they don't. It's extremely fair, and when nobody's really being held back. It's a merit-based system. If you're the best person for the job, you're going to rise to the top. So I mean, you don't have to worry about male, female, ethnic background, religious, all that stuff. If you're best one for the job, the cream is going to separate. You're going to end up getting that job. You're going to get that promotion if you're doing things for the right reason.
Well, okay. Everybody just keep your eye on the prize. Clint, good to go on that right there?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'll still give you one last little chance in case you got something that you think of. But everybody, this would just be my appeal. Like Clint, those are some good words, of wisdom, good words to live by. I'm still going to throw in there, the Black Scout, survival. Stay frosty, strapped, and dangerous. Keep your head on a swivel. Exercise situational awareness. Still be prepared. Hey, I just recharged my rechargeable my battery. I've got one of those. Battery packs that'll jump a battery, for a car battery. It's northern Minnesota, it's been 30 below and it's snowing and stuff. You stay on top of your preps, because that's not prep. That's just what you should be doing as a man or a woman, for yourself, for your loved ones, your family, your community, however you want to look at it. I don't know where that ever became evil, but just all I'm trying to say is we are not anywhere near out of the woods, in my humble opinion. However, Clint, P. Rick, and then just you start looking at the dots on the wall. Okay, this is starting off pretty good, and we are moving in a direction. And you can see, I still think evil is. I think they're kind of sucking us in, like Davos. So here's my last thing to you, Clint. They even just kind of came out and said, hey, you're right. Dude, evil doesn't surrender. And if evil surrenders, no offense to anybody from from Japan, but again, it's a cultural thing. It's a mindset. If you look at, our war with Japan in World War II, how many times Japanese soldiers, feigned surrender in order to inflict more casualties? That was their warrior mindset. That was their cultural mindset. I'm not trying to say that the Japanese people are evil. It's a cultural thing. And that's Bushido. And that's what, and the government and governments can take control of people. And it doesn't speak. Obviously, Adolf Hitler didn't speak for every fucking German, right? Oh, you're a German, you're a Nazi. That's not how that works, right? That a lot of people go along with it. Yeah, but put yourself, and I'm not making excuses. Look what's been going on in our country. And if you're a Western country, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, France, Germany, Norway, and look at what's going on in our countries just over the last 4, 8, 12 years. We see that kind of creep coming into our societies as well. Clint, do you want to add anything to that? Otherwise, that's going to be my kind of words of my cautionary tale for the night. That's where I'm going to end it on.
No, I guess at the end of that, I agree with all that. You've always got to be ready for anything, because at the end of the day, we're really not in control of everything. You just gotta be prepared for what you can be, and live your life, enjoy it. Keep a positive outlook on things.
But make a difference in your community, which will make a difference in your state, and make a difference in your country, make a difference in this world. Seriously, let's have human beings on the moon again in the next 4 to 6 years. Let's have human beings on Mars in the next 6 to 8 years. I'm not joking. Why are we squabbling over this other bullshit? We've got bigger and better fucking things to do, boys and girls. That's my outro right there, Clint.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Hey, thanks to everybody watching here tonight. I hope you had an adult beverage, enjoyed the conversation. Thanks to everybody in the chat. I'm going to get way better at this chat over on CLS. Because seriously, you guys just a lot of the stuff you guys are talking to each other. I guess I don't need to pop that up. You guys see it, but great comments, great questions. Really appreciate everybody in the chat. Thanks for being here tonight. I hope you found it, again, edutainment and, educational and entertaining at the same time. Huge hat, shout out to P-Rick. Big hats off, bald-headed hats off to Clint. Yeah, geez, and thanks to all you guys for taking the time away from whatever you could be doing to be here as well. And let's just keep freedom. Let's keep that ball of freedom moving downfield. I guess that's my final thing.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Clint?
No, that's it. Just focus on the end of my pen.
That was a very touche, sir. That was a good ending. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I've got a schedule for next week for the loadout and the after dark. I don't know. My schedule's over there. It's just been a long week, but it's been a great roller coaster. And I just, God bless America. God bless everybody. And I hope we can continue down this path. And and maybe we can find ourselves back on the moon. Seriously, I know that sounds stupid to say, but why can't we? Let's just do it. All this other shit needs to be, we just need to grow up and move on past it. So thanks for being here tonight. Thanks to our guests for taking their time. Thank all of you men and women for watching it, whether you're here with us live or on demand. We'll see you again next week. Oh, by the way, I guess I'll end it on that. Next week, we're just sticking to the same schedule. I talked about a schedule change. I hate to say it. I just think the Thursdays and Fridays probably work better. As much as I don't like the Thursday, I think the Thursday and Friday works really good. So probably just going to stick with that schedule for next week. The loadout is going to be Thursday. Cialis is always going to be Friday. So, we'll see you next week. If you got questions, comments, you know the deal. Reach out to me anytime. I'll do the best I can. Just a huge shout out to you guys in the chat. I really love it. Thank you very much. If you got questions, I already said that. Reach out. Until then, keep thinking. Gene, get them ready. Keep thinking, keep moving, never quit. All right, all you freedom-loving boys and girls, we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Woo!